Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by four aging millennials and our outdated opinions. I'm your host, Mike, and with me today is...
I'm Corey, and I'm the thing that monsters have nightmares about.
I'm Cam. Your mouth is open, sound is coming from it. This is never good.
I'm Bubbawheat. If the apocalypse comes, beat me.
And I'm John Mark. If you see me coming, then you better run.
Into every generation a podcast is born. One podcast in all the world, a chosen one. They alone will wield the voices and skills to entertain ear holes and spread joy to all of the world. To stop bad podcasts from existing. That podcast is not Culture Shocked.
Guys, this episode's gonna slay.
So if you didn't notice, today we have guests from the Jacked Up Review Show podcast. In case the people listening aren't familiar with your podcast, could you guys tell us a little bit what you do there?
Much like you guys, we dissect pop culture galore. We've been doing that since 2019. It was just like, let's do a dissect of this music band. Why are they referenced? Every other movie or show. And we even rated the best and worst food restaurants, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, no.
It was the
No
best
shit.
and worst burger joints and pizza venues.
Now that's my lane.
That's an episode I could get into.
And
for
the best
sure.
and worst candy as well.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Candy, dark chocolate. Oh my God, we did everything. But yeah, it was just a matter is like we want to just shut this up once and for all. Like get all the different minds. We'll be doing some movie and TV show rankings very soon. And it's gonna be
Nice.
even funnier who's team Jason, who's team Freddy.
Oh, I have a camp there.
All right.
If you
So do I.
if you picked up on my reference.
Oh yeah, and then it'll be even funnier. We might even have some who's like, I like this character, but I like this movie better. Just because it's stupid or it's campy.
That happens.
It's no sense of consistency, and it's always fun just seeing this what everyone. But it is really a joy when someone just does a hot take. But they pull an Adrian, so to speak. It's just like
Yeah.
no shame.
We have one
Fucking
almost
hate
every
this.
single episode, and 9 times out of 10 it is Adrian.
Yeah. Occasionally I'll throw the wild card out there. People are confused, but
I'm pretty open to most things, so when I hate something, it's kind of shocking.
shocking culture shock.
It's quite culture shocking when I hate something. Mike, quit making me plug my own fucking podcast.
It's our episode.
I was trying so hard not to say culture shocking.
Touching himself. All right.
So
So good.
before I really get into the meat of the show, I just kind of wanted to ask. I already know Corey. He just started watching it.
First time watcher.
But the rest of you, I'm assuming, have watched the show at least once.
I'll actually let John and Bubba start, and then I'll be the odd duck out.
I guess I'm wondering, like, what got you into the show? Because it came out in 1997. There wasn't really there wasn't a lot of people, really talking about stuff back then, because the internet wasn't as big as it is now. So I'm just curious, like, how did you stumble upon this show?
Oh, you're wrong, Mike. People were talking about it. They weren't typing about it.
That's right.
People were out in the streets literally talking to
But
each
it
other.
took a
about the
while
show.
for it to realize they exist. There are other weirdos besides me watching this damn thing. It's been almost 7 years.
Yeah, back then they could be 2-3 seasons in and somebody say you see the show and you'd be like, what the hell is that?
A letter.
Exactly.
What's that? Fan mail. What's the thing?
Oh man, I was a Burger King Kids Club. I was a member.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Because for me, I didn't have cable growing up until I was in my young teens. And when we first got cable, I just happened to stumble across FX playing Buffy. And I think
Same.
it was like 2003. So it was literally like the last season was on the air as I discovered the show.
I was the same deal. Buffy was on FX literally all the time, and TNT was showing reruns of Angel just nonstop. And I was cool to everything. I instantly understood why these various TV shows were becoming new addictions. So I was just as some people are movie guys versus TV guys. I was a everything kind of guy. It's just like, okay,
same.
I understand why this game is popular. I understand why people are binging Homicide, X-Files, Millennium. Battlestar Galactica. It's a thing.
I 100% over the years caught random episodes of both Buffy and Angel and never once put together that they were connected. Not one
Really?
time.
Okay.
Not once.
The biggest giveaway was
I was actually
Spike was
watching
in
it
both.
through this time, and Mike said something about, well, make sure you look into Angel too. And I was like, why the fuck am I looking into Angel? He said, because he's from the show. And I'm like, oh my God, that guy's name is Angel. Never clicked.
So I guess we'll start with you, Bubbawheat. How did you get into Buffy?
I think it was pretty much the same as you guys. I'm pretty sure I didn't catch it first run, but I think I caught it towards the end of its run whenever they were showing reruns on FX. Because I do know I'm fairly certain that I watched the final season of Angel whenever it was first run, because I definitely remember the whole news about whenever it was like canceled and it was the WB's #1 rated show.
Oh yeah, before the switch.
And everybody was like, why the hell is the WB canceling their highest rated show?
Oh man, I tell you right now, if the WB didn't have Smallville when they canceled Angel, I don't know if they'd still be around. I mean, obviously they changed it to CW, but they did not have a lot going on.
WB wasn't going anywhere, but the channel wouldn't have survived.
Oh, but before UPN closed down and merged with them to form CW, it was just kind of weird. They were both kind of dwindling, and they had enough kind of cult shows.
Oh man, and I'm going to tell you, when CW first started, it was crap upon crap upon crap.
Like I said, they only had Smallville really. Like that was the only thing worth watching.
Yeah,
and I had never even watched that.
Even when the CW DC shows were starting, I was really only watching the show because Whose Line Is It Anyway had been brought back. So I was
those were the two shows I watched, Smallville and Whose Line.
Oh, totally. And people bitch so much about how Canadian productions look cheap. It's like, no, some of them do. You can say what you want about some of these other post Buffy shows like Teen Wolf and Supernatural. They're very Buffy inspired, and they are very. Their production values is pretty incredible. But it's just, people watch some of the lesser ones, the ones that were really, really cheap, even by Canadian dollars. And it's just like, that doesn't look great.
and now they have Buffy on the Teen Wolf spinoff.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yep, Wolfpack.
And there's another connection to that. So Jeff Davis, he originally created Criminal Minds. And it's just so funny how Garcia's boyfriend is played by the actor who plays Buffy's brother.
I haven't seen any of the new
it's all good.
shows she's in.
But yeah, he's always had a lot of connections to Buffy, so he would always sneak an actor in there.
I like directors that like to sneak people in like that.
Well, that's like Joss does that all the time with any of his projects. He tries to sneak
people from. You had to say his name.
Well, I can say his name. Obviously, we're gonna throw that out there. Joss Whedon is the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We know that there's issues with him. We're not going to talk about him.
Fuck off.
But yeah, I when he did Cabin in the Woods, there were so many different Buffyverse alumni in them.
Yeah,
in that movie, like Amy Acker from Angel is in that movie.
I forgot how much I like that movie. Now we have to talk about him.
I'm hit and miss on him, but I will say that there are some cleverness, and you can see why so much of the cast, like, they can't disassociate themselves with it. Like James Marster and Charisma Carpenter, I just would shake my head each time I would see him in some Lifetime sci-fi channel. How the fuck they
I say the same thing every time.
Michelle Trachtenberg's a really good kid actress, but people seem to just kind of, I don't know, they just don't seem to remember as much from this. And I'm like, really? She was like one of the first faces I remember from this.
Actually, one of the things that I found out is she actually wrote a bunch of letters to Joss Whedon saying how she needed to be in Buffy the Vampire Slayer because she loved the show so much. And that is why he eventually cast her as Dawn.
Well, that's good.
I'm like, wow, I guess, it takes us some persistence.
He watched Harriet the Spy and knew he had to have that girl on.
Oh, wow.
Well, he had planned to put Dawn in the show 3 seasons before he actually did it. So, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was the only one of the cast members that knew about it before it even came up.
When did she enter? Like 4 or 5 or something like that?
Season 5.
Season 5. Okay.
Yep. See, John knows.
John, speaking of John, we never really got to hear how you got into the show. So
Well, it's the same as everybody else. The FX reruns, and eventually I watched most of them when I was in high school because I knew her from the Scooby-Doo movie. That's how I grew up watching.
Oh, yeah,
Showgirl.
okay.
Oh,
Yep.
God, yeah.
Yeah, it pretty much all made sense because they would even refer to themselves on the show as "We are the Scooby Gang."
Scooby Gang, yep.
Actually, first fun fact. I know they're not Adrian's fun facts.
Oh, man, we're bringing back fun facts.
Fun
The first time they were referred to as the Scooby Gang is in episode 9, season 2.
Sweet.
Oh, they actually say it in the show. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, several times.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, from that moment forward, they consider themselves the Scoobies all the time.
Nice.
Apparently, this one blogger, Matt Risley, noted how they're the first show to use the word Googled.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, Googled is a verb.
They are the first ones to use Googled as a verb in any media format, which is like literally anybody would be like, "Well, Google it," and like
They were
that's the
way
thing.
ahead of their time. No, actually, that was right around the time, I guess.
yeah,
They
that's
weren't,
this
they weren't
kind of
ahead
what
of their time. They were trendsetters.
that was this before Google was like the
Guys,
main search
the only
engine.
reason people don't use Ask Jeeves anymore is because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
Way to go,
Confirmed
Buffy.
right now, just confirmed it.
Broke my millennial heart.
Well, and kind of like Stargate, I feel like it was kind of the same kind of deal, where it's like people didn't think it was going to happen because you're part of a cult, kind of infamous movie,
Yeah.
and then you're going to TV. It's like usually TV shows based off movies aren't great, but I think it's one of those people sometimes forget. Oh, it did spawn off of a movie, but the show is so notable. It's kind of almost like Highlander. You kind of prefer the show to the very movies that crafted it because it's just so much more that you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just you can do a banged up job. And so whenever I see a Netflix show that inevitably gets canceled and wastes everyone's time, or that doesn't make use of its 8-episode format, it's like you guys have all the freedom in the world. You have no excuse.
Yeah.
These guys didn't know when they would come back in the day when people were using VCR tapes.
I listened to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast that he does
Of that contest.
Um,
Beside you.
Yeah. And I've also listened to the Talkville podcast he's doing with Tom Welling. And they're
Sweet.
all the time talking about how, because they're rewatching Smallville and how some episodes are crap. And they're talking about like, well, you got to understand, we had to do 20 to 22 episodes a season. And so a lot of those are filler. He's like, we didn't have the luxury that a lot of shows have today, where you literally only have to do 8 to 10 episodes a season.
Oh, it's
That's
gotten
true.
worse, my dude. There's so many shows.
Yeah, all it is that's the main story, that you don't have to have filler episodes in that.
Yeah,
So-
I think Lana Lang and Giles have had more concussions than football players.
That's true.
Yeah, lots of tackling on that damn show. Well, and it doesn't help that nonstop they would always get notes from TV execs who would say serialize it less, and it's like, well, this is a serialized story, so I can't not serialize it.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to go over each season like briefly. I don't want to like, obviously, if we sat here and talked about every season forever, we'd be here for like 4 hours. But just like a lot of key moments, obviously, you got to talk about the pilot. I did find it intriguing that it's nothing I really realized until I was like really taking notes and stuff, that this is one of few shows where the pilot actually has a name and it's not just called The Pilot.
Yeah, and it's so much better than the actual pilot. Did you guys ever see the pilot, the on-air pilot?
I have, yeah.
Oh my god, the dialogue in that.
I have watched the unaired pilot. It's on YouTube if anybody wants to watch it. Allison Hannigan is not Willow in that. She was actually,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep, she was not Willow.
She was played by an actress named Riff Regan, who, if you ever look her up on IMDb, doesn't even have a photo.
No.
So-
Nope.
Did you ever see the episode? I know you guys are How I Met Your Mother fans. Did you ever see the episode where she references her character by having a dark side in one episode?
Yeah. She makes people
Just
disappear
loses
from her
her
life.
shit, and she's like,
I love that so much. Yes. I didn't actually write this one down, but I remember when I was looking it up. It's kind of fun. Allison Hannigan is really good friends with Pink, I guess, and Pink named her first. She named her first daughter Willow after Her Buffy character.
Damn.
I didn't know that.
That's
So,
commitment.
yeah, I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's like an honor and an insult at the same time. I named her after you, but not you, because your character's more interesting. So I named her Willow.
The pilot, which ended up being a 2-parter episode. Eric Balfour,
Yes,
the guy who plays
from Haven.
Jesse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Speed Under. Yeah,
he was so good. I thought in the show too. Like those 2 episodes, I thought he did well, and they kill him off, and then they never talk about him ever again. Like this is supposed to be one of Xander's best friends, and
hashtag justice for Jesse.
Like what the hell?
I think that was deliberate because Josh Whedon, he had done some cleanup on uncredited rewrites on everything. Like he added the "You're a Dick" line in the original X-Men. Most of the dialogue in Speed is even his, and it was just interesting how, he even uses at one point a pop quiz. He'll just have the characters like interrogate each other on the fly, and so he brought in his 2 brothers to do a lot of the writing too. But it is fun, like all these shows, spotting before they were famous. There's this one bit part character, Gage, who's played by Wentworth Miller years before Prison Break.
He's
the swim
in Buffy as well. I forgot about that.
Before Legends of Tomorrow, and you're just like
Pedro Pascal, which I was going to bring up when we got to season 4.
Was he in an episode?
He plays Eddie in the very first episode of season 4 of Buffy, which is the only friend that Buffy makes, and then he dies the same episode.
Oh yeah, that's right. The one I remember his vampire.
Yeah. The thing about Joss is I did find out that I knew this one already. He originally wanted Eric Balfour to be a title character on the main title screen, just to kill him off in the first episode and then take him off afterwards. But the studio was like, well, we don't have enough money to make 2 different intros, so we're not doing that.
He was pretty much in Wes Craven mode, which is just ironic because Sarah Michelle's in that and Scream.
Yeah. So he's always wanted to do that, which he eventually does do in season 6.
Fooled you, baby.
With Amber Benson. He puts her in the one credit scene in season 6 at the same episode she dies.
By season 6, they were banking, so they were able to do that.
Well, season 6 they were also on UPN instead of WB.
Yeah.
UPN let Joss do all the things that WB wouldn't let him do.
Well, that's just it, because they were the hip station. We got to have a urban sitcom. We got to have some Star Trek, and then we got to have just anything else that you want to do that's kind of nutty and funny and just whatever.
I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure you never see Willow and Tara actually kiss until season 6. Joss had wanted to do a musical episode ever since the beginning, and WB kept saying no. So it wasn't until he got the UPN they were like, "Yeah, absolutely, go for it."
It's fun. It's funny because in the broad spectrum of things, you wouldn't think a vampire hunting show would have a musical episode.
Oh, it's so fucking good though.
This show, if you look it up, like in most places, it's not even labeled as action comedy. It's comedy action. They make sure they put that shit first because there's a lot more into it.
This show's definitely it's Joss Whedon. It's very campy. It's got a lot of campiness to it, but it's also got a lot of serious moments.
Yeah, really fucked up serious moments, honestly.
Yeah.
No, that's true, because there is something to be said for that. Like, and I think it's just, it gets people out of their comfort zone. And because I would see people who say, I don't like gangster shows, and then they're watching, next thing you know, they're watching something like Breaking Bad, or I don't care for horror shows, and they're watching this or X-Files, and it's like, well,
I'm one of those people. I'm not a big horror fan, but I love Buffy. I actually really enjoy Supernatural. I think I boiled it down the other night when I was talking
Supernatural's
to
a good contrast.
my girlfriend about it. I was like, I don't think I really care for the horror aspect of people sucking at getting, like, they just keep getting killed.
Yes, vampires.
I think I like the horror aspect where the main character is actually a badass and can fight these things.
Yeah, it and Blade kind of, and even Lost Boys kind of made people just want to guffaw more at the universe and just have fun.
I love both of those things you just mentioned. So yeah, I think it makes sense.
Instead of, like, just say, I'm Anne Rice, I'm going to seduct you now. It's like, no, at the end of the day, you're still an asshole who's going to suck my blood. That don't fly, man.
So before I ask about the whole Angel thing, I will say, Angel was always meant to be mysterious in the beginning, which he was.
He was? No, just kidding.
They had no idea. They originally had no idea what they actually wanted his backstory to be. At one point, they considered making him a legitimate angel. Ultimately, they didn't decide on him being a vampire until they were writing the episode Angel.
Angel totally, X-Men totally stole from Angel.
It was always, since I started this, my opinion that they legitimately wanted him to be an angel, and then they changed their minds. I actually thought that because he shows up more like an angel when she needs him the first couple episodes, like very, very like coincidental. He shows up. Oh, I need you now.
That was some dynamite casting.
How'd you know I was here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, David Boreanaz is amazing.
Which was by complete accident. Like,
yeah.
One of the writers or producers or whatever just happened to see him on the walking his dog, and they were like, "You need to come audition for this role." I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah, he gets pretty unfairly dished once in a while. I'll see people who act like, "Oh, he's just a pretty face." It's like, no, I think
David Boreanaz.
I think he's pretty solid.
First of all, sexy as fuck. Second off, the dude can act.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Bones SEAL Team fan, so I love how he's evolved. I've seen him in different movies where he actually.
Well, he's only done like 3 TV shows, but those 3 TV shows had lasted like 10 years each.
They're all huge with long seasons. And
I read this article that somebody was talking about how David Boreanaz might be the best TV actor just based on his longevity,
his success,
and the success of all the shows he's been on.
Well, and he has natural charisma with his entire ensemble, so he always knows, okay, I got to lead the way, but I got to let everyone breathe. And he's just good at just the various long faces and eye rolls. It just works for all the various comedy
he's a much better character whenever he gets his own show.
Yes, I've said that to many people. I love him as Angelus, but the rest of his time on Buffy, I'm not like the biggest fan of.
No, it's fine.
I think season 2 is definitely his best.
I think like many of the crossover shows, they kind of got convoluted with. It's still hectic. If you want to watch the various crossovers, you really have to do your homework. And fortunately, it's easier now.
Yes.
We don't have to do the DVDs anymore. If you want to go on Hulu, you can do that.
Yep, that does make it so much easier.
Did you what is DVD?
Well, I still have them all on DVD, but
I still have them all as well. So.
But I still watch them on Hulu.
Some people have this on VHS.
They might be collector's items on eBay now.
So really the only other thing I wanted to mention about season 1.
Only other?
Season 1's not very long. It's only 12 episodes.
which is unheard of. They thought it was going to last.
Which was nice. It's weird because it had a lot of filler episodes and only 12 episode season. But season 1, I noticed something very similar to the whole prophecy thing with Buffy. And I think Joss Whedon should sue J.K. Rowling.
Assholes sue another asshole. I got it. I like it.
Because I was like, wait a minute. So she has to die, but she gets to come back to life just so she can kill the master. Where have I seen this before?
The chosen one must sacrifice himself.
Like the prophecy says she's going to die. The prophecy says Harry's going to die, but yet they don't actually die. They come back to life. Like I mean, the parallels are too similar to be a coincidence. I feel like J.K. Rowling was a Buffy fan.
Perhaps.
I think you're stretching, but
I mean,
you don't see
that does. Okay, there's a coincidence there. I don't see enough.
Katniss in the Hunger Games is a ripoff of Buffy Summers, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like there's any other hero out there that
I know, but I know what you mean. Sometimes the most unlikely characters do inspire other characters.
I think, Mike, you're a fan of Buffy, and you saw that as a parallel. I would have never picked up on that.
But now that I bring it up, you see it, right?
Not really. I mean, but not really.
Harry Potter is actually a Valley girl. I totally see it now.
Mike, the title of martyr has been around a lot longer than Buffy and Harry Potter.
I suppose.
Has it?
Yes, ask William Shakespeare. Literally, Juliet did the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
In Romeo and Juliet. So that was way before Buffy, I got to tell you.
Speaking of basing characters on people, Joss Whedon did partly base Buffy on the X-Men character Kitty Pryde.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Kind of.
Yeah, no, that's.
But you got to
one
roll a
of the-
dig for that.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
things that I found when I was doing some research. So I mean, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I guess kind of, but I don't know.
I just taking inspiration from a character is not the same as completely ripping them off, though.
Right? No, I didn't say it was a ripoff. I just said you based Buffy like partially on Kitty Pryde. Maybe the way she acts, I guess. I don't
Guys,
know.
I'm sorry I gave Mike the reins on this one. I apologize.
It's all good. It's your show.
We're gonna go ahead and stop this one and start it back over.
What do you think of her dad? Her dad's pretty cool, Rupert.
Oh, I see what you did there.
He can be a hard ass.
He might as well be her dad.
I mean, he's basically an adopted dad.
Might as well at this point.
Well, but Corey, by the time you make it to the end of the show, you'll realize he basically is her father figure.
He already fucked her mom.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Ooh. Oh,
he's her new daddy.
That is a
Yeah.
funny ass episode.
It was great.
Yeah, disappointed they never moved forward with the Ripper spinoff.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I was
that's
really-
been bothering the shit out of me. like Giles is some badass, and we just don't get to really know any of it.
I mean, you
He
don't
just
get to
shows
see,
glimpses of it every once in a while.
You do get to see it on occasion, but it never actually gives you like a full backstory.
No, I know. I looked into that because it was pissing me
Yeah.
off.
oh, totally. And this fucking thing was everywhere. I would see people at school wearing T-shirts that they made themselves. I saw that there was an Xbox and PlayStation 2, GameCube games as well.
Yeah.
Chaos Bleeds. I had that.
Yeah, the Chaos
Yeah,
Blades.
I heard it's actually a decent game too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's got a fun story. I mean, it's just a standard beat 'em up kind of action game, but other than that, it's fun to play.
Did you say it's a Buffy game?
Yeah,
Oh shit! I didn't even know they ever made any games.
Yeah,
I think they made 2.
Damn.
they did make. I only know of Chaos Bleeds, but I don't remember the title of the other one.
I think it was just Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I
Yeah.
want to say it was like an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, I don't think anybody enjoyed that one as much as Chaos Bleeds.
Yeah.
Oh, before we move on from season 1,
Okay.
there's actually something I wanted to ask that I think it's a pretty obvious theory, but is this supposed to be like when she comes to Sunnydale? Is it supposed to be like right after she burned down the gymnasium in the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I think
Yes.
so.
She didn't
Yes.
technically burn down the gymnasium
I know
in
that's
the
just what they
movie.
keep saying.
Yeah.
It just there was some
But-
fire damage, but
But there was like
Yeah.
a final fight at the gymnasium in that
Yeah.
movie, and then the show starts and they're all talking about how she burned it down. I assumed it was just supposed to be the same
Yes,
Buffy.
that is
Yeah.
definitely a nod to the movie. It's essentially a sequel to the movie.
Okay, good.
but-
Then my other question is when they show Angel go in there to spy on her, technically is what he's doing, but he goes there to spy on her when she's not quite Buffy yet, the Slayer.
mhm.
Yeah.
Like, is that supposed to be just Sarah Michelle Gellar doing a little bit of like that character from that movie? Like, was that supposed to be like a redone scene from the movie?
A little bit, but not exactly, because they aged her back a couple of years. And in the movie, Buffy was like a senior in high school,
Yeah.
and they had to age her back to a sophomore, so that way they could, stretch
Yeah.
out the high school years for the TV show.
Okay, so they rewrote it a little bit, but it was
little,
yeah,
like a
retcon.
it was like a
Yeah.
reshoot.
Because they did the exact same thing on Stargate, where they were like the O'Neill with 2 L's.
One
Okay.
of the biggest things is, I guess, when Buffy the Vampire Slayer was made into a movie, obviously it was Joss's, it was his idea. Like, he wrote the movie or wrote the characters and everything. He was not happy with the direction like it took, like, because he didn't direct it or anything.
Yeah.
No, he didn't
Yeah, he didn't
direct it,
direct that.
but he is the sole credited writer.
Yeah, which is why he decided to make a show, because he's like, I can do that way better.
Mhm.
And he did.
Yeah.
He did.
But speaking of like the differences, Seth Green is
Yes.
the only actor to appear in both the movie and the TV show.
Yeah.
He is
Oh.
uncredited as a kid in the movie.
Nice.
I didn't even catch him. I even watched the movie relatively recently.
Didn't someone else play the character Oz in the movie?
I didn't see Seth Green. I did catch Ben Affleck.
I was in the movie.
Yes, Ben Affleck's that. Like, did you know that that's
Yep.
not even his voice?
His voice was dubbed, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, his
Is
voice
it
is
really?
dubbed in there. Yeah,
Yep.
because he couldn't get the line right.
He's still struggling with that to this day.
Oh.
That's
the
why.
other
That's
thing-
why Kevin Smith hires him.
Yeah.
Ouch.
The other thing is James Masters originally declined the role of Spike because he didn't care for the movie and he thought that the show was going to be just like the movie.
He should be such a bigger name. He has
What?
been
Yes.
passed
Yeah.
over for
Yes.
several movies. He was supposed to be the villain in Star Trek Nemesis. Instead, they went with fucking Tom Hardy. Fucking Picard.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
wow.
wish
I
that
think he needs to stop sending casting directors his Piccolo character from Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh,
I don't think
Yeah.
it's going over well.
Dude, why?
Hey, if it wasn't for James Masters, Piccolo wouldn't have even been green in that movie.
Okay, I will give you that Piccolo's the only good part of that whole movie. So.
Well, that and Ernie Hudson's bald head and Chow Yun Fat having a WTF face. Like, what am I doing here?
I mean, there's glimpses and clips in the movie that are okay, but I hated that Chow Yun Fat was Master Roshi. That did not fit at all.
Oh yeah,
I was
and
so
it's just
mad.
one of those. The fans hate it because it's not anything like the
It's
source
just-
material.
Well,
We hate
Justin
No,
it.
it's
Chatwin
aw-
is not
it's just
fucking
awful.
Goku. He's not my Goku.
Literally the only person on the set of that movie that had any idea what the show was or what Dragon Ball Z was James Masters. He's a huge fan, which is why he eventually ended up voicing the villain in Dragon Ball Super, Zamasu.
Oh, okay. Well, shit. So we got something good out of it, but man,
Yeah,
that
which-
cluster.
That is one of my favorite villains in Super. So, but he decided to take the role after his agent told him to watch the show, and he ended up watching Prophecy Girl, and he was like, "Oh, okay, no, this show's completely different than the movie." Yeah,
Yeah, it's
he ended up becoming such a huge fan of the show that he would only read the scripts for his own scenes because he didn't want the rest of the episode ruined for him.
Right?
So, I mean,
Oh man.
And I haven't gotten after 3 seasons. I haven't gotten a ton of Spike, but what I have gotten, I can tell he's going to be like one of my favorite people when he comes back, because he's just got that sarcastic edge, and he's always awkward and making stupid. Like my favorite thing that's even happened in this whole show is when he kidnaps Willow and Xander to make Willow cast a spell to make what's her name fall back in love with him.
oh yeah,
Drusilla.
And yeah, Drusilla.
Years before we realized how creepy that actually is.
Right at the end, after he put them through a hell of a night, he goes, "You know what? I'm going to do what I should have done in the first place. I'm going to go kidnap her, torture her, and make her fall in love with me again." And then he's just like, "Love is a crazy thing," and he just leaves. That's like my favorite thing that's happened in the show so far in the first 3 seasons.
that pretty much sums Spike up so well
Yeah.
in the early, like before his Buffy obsession.
I just love that he comes back just pissed drunk, which I didn't even know vampires could be, by the way.
You're right. Oh my god.
Yeah.
only Spike.
And I believe the original plan, like I think it was the end of season 2, whenever with the fire, and he was supposed to die there, but they
Yes.
liked him so much that they just put him in a wheelchair.
Yep.
Which I knew fucking right away. I'm like, well, he's not even. There's no way he's bound to that wheelchair this whole season.
He was only meant to be in 5 episodes. Actually, I think he signed on for 5 episodes, and Joss only planned on using him for 2. But yeah, he had such a huge fan reaction that Joss is like, "All right, well, I gotta."
He ended up in like 60 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he's like, "I gotta keep this guy around." But at one point, because fans were starting to like him so much, and this is an interview that James Masters has said himself. Joss pushed him against a wall once and was like, I am not afraid to kill you off. This is my show, not yours." Like he was getting
Sounds
tired of
like
people
him.
like really liking
Mhm.
like Spike, like because Spike was supposed to be this evil character.
I
that,
mean,
you know,
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Not knowing this show growing up, the only 2 I knew were Buffy and Spike. So it was not
He
just
was in
Whedon's
literally
show.
all the promos. He'd
Yeah,
say
he
something
was in
funny.
every single picture
Yeah.
I ever saw. So Joss Whedon was way wrong about that. The characters make a show, not all the writing. It's not all the writing and directing.
I mean, even after he dies, they bring him back into Angel.
oh, it's so brilliant too because season
Yeah.
5 of Angel is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I just finished rewatching season 5 of Angel, and it is so much fun.
Because of season 2 of Buffy is actually my favorite, and I think a lot of it is to do with one Angelus. 2 Spike is introduced, and he's an amazing character. And 3, just the banter between Spike and Angel it's always great. Like it's never a dull moment when they're back and forth.
I want to see more evil David Boreanaz. I think he should do more stuff where he's a villain.
Yes.
He's great.
Well, he did a movie where he was a villain. I didn't think it was good. I don't think it turned out really good.
Yeah,
you had to go there.
No.
Why?
The Crow Wicked Prayer.
I wouldn't even shit. I was talking
Not
about the
that
Valentine movie.
I know he's talking about Valentine. Yep.
Wow.
He was better in Crow Wicked Prayer. Not that that movie was much better.
No, it's pretty impossible.
The Crow's a great movie. As soon as you put semicolon something or colon anything else, it's not a good movie.
Well, Wicked Prayer had Eddie Furlong, Tara Reid, David Boreanaz in it.
Dennis fucking Hopper.
Oh, and Dennis Hopper, yeah.
Danny Trejo as a random.
I forgot Danny Trejo in it.
Dennis Hopper doing pimp lines. It's so incredible. It's incredibly bad.
That's a movie, Corey, we'll have to do for one of our bad movies.
Which movie?
Crow Wicked Prayer.
Yeah, Crow Free's like the only good sequel, and the rest.
Honestly, if you want to do a bad movies on the whole series, I'll do it except that first movie. I didn't like any of them except the first one.
I still secretly wish Brendan Lee was still with us. Anyway,
me too. Oh, not even secretly. I'll say it out loud. That was a damn tragedy.
I don't even know why I said secretly.
I guess the only thing really to talk about season 1 is the villain, the Master, played by Mark Metcalf. He comes back obviously a bunch of different times for like not comes back to life, but in like flashbacks and dream sequences.
Yeah, he was in that one awesome episode after Cordelia wishes that Buffy never came to
yeah. Dude, I'm glad you got to see that because The Wish is a great episode.
It's a great episode, yeah.
And speaking of another fun fact.
There's fun facts.
Yeah, I know. Anya was originally planned to be played by somebody else. I don't know the actress's name because she turned it down when she saw that it was only for a 2-episode guest spot. So you really fucked up because
she was only the Wishmaster at first, right?
Yeah.
Emma Caulfield I want to see the Wishmaster actually be in this fucking show.
Oh god, yeah.
Is that what you wish, Buffy?
That would have been amazing.
But of course, as we all know, Anya ended up becoming a series regular by season 5. So that's a really dumb decision on that actress's part.
I mean, there's no way to know back then. I mean, she might have been intimidated in the audition rooms. Years before, you could hire your agent to say, "I don't audition, bitches."
Yeah, ridiculous.
And I'm not even saying this just because we're talking about Joss Whedon project, but especially for women back then, like, you had to really fight for yourself. Your agent probably didn't fight.
Just ask anyone who's worked with Steven Seagal.
The only thing I'm going to say,
I hate him maybe more than any other actor in the world.
He should have played a vampire. He gets staked on here.
Yeah.
I would love to see him die, but he never gets hit, and everything he's in, he never fucking gets hit.
That's why we've been saying for a while, we got to convince him to do a shitty movie here and just like say, okay, you're done for the day, and then we have someone else playing a stunt double who gets blown up.
But the only thing I will say about the whole Joss Whedon crap is I find it extremely ironic that he chose to do a show and created this show about a strong female character when behind the scenes he's such a douchebag to them.
Well, the thing is, people who are like he is are constantly trying to validate that they're not that person. So directing and being so in love with a character that's a badass female was him trying to project he's not a bad person, when in fact he was. He was trying to convince people that
the
he
next
was
James
not a
Cameron,
douchebag.
I have progressive, female characters, and it's like, no, you're doing it just so you can, have an iron hand over them.
I don't think he ever did anything risque, terrible to anybody.
I don't think he ever. I don't think he ever
exploited
sexually
them.
assaulted anybody.
No, he never exploited or harassed them, but he was one of those. I think
he was just a
control
misogynist to the highest extent.
Yes, and I'm assuming he scared the shit out of Michelle Trachtenberg at one point in time because she came out and said that he was not allowed in a room with her by himself. So
yeah, I heard that as well.
I'm thinking he just scared the shit out of her once, like really bad. Because I don't think Joss is like a pig in that aspect where
he's just a sexist prick.
Yeah, he's just a sexist prick. Like he's a dickhead. Like
he's a control freak who just
he's an egotistical control freak, and if you don't agree with him, then he's gonna yell at you.
Yep,
that's the impression I get.
And unfortunately, if we ever end up doing an Angel episode, I'll talk about this. But unfortunately, Charisma Carpenter probably got the worst of all that. So
Yes, she did.
Oh yeah, she
She
did.
finally came out and talked about it. She hadn't wanted to talk about it.
she came. I think she came out to kind of be in the defense of Ray Fisher, who is the one that kind of
Yeah.
dropped the bomb on Joss Whedon.
On the
And-
yeah.
He got everything running.
And Charisma Carpenter's like, you know what? I've held this in for too long. I got to tell people my story.
Although I'm more mad at just the people at Warner Brothers or Marvel who kind of knew about his
Yeah,
bad side
like,
and they didn't say anything. It's like
How do you
that
just
don't
keep
fly.
letting that happen?
Well,
Like, I don't understand.
as we've seen with recent scandals like Lee Michelle and all these other people who just will hold up filming to where it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, then you either don't work here or you're just a voice actor who we host over Zoom, because there's no reason for you
Right.
to be a dick to everyone on set and make them
Right.
want to just punch you in the face. It's just no.
That was the best thing that ever came out of that whole movement of people coming out against different directors and actors. Is it made it a little more of a easy workplace for people, because everybody's either too scared to be themselves now, the pricks I'm talking about,
Yes.
or they're just kind of staying out of it so they don't get caught, which is a good thing.
And we got rid of the ones who were the fakes, the ones who
Yeah.
were
Yes.
pretending to be
Yes.
progressive, who, so Asia Argento, no one wants to work with her. And this is so ironic because she founded Me Too. And it's like, God damn it. You did this for your own gain. When you
Nobody
also
wants to work
raped
with
a
Joss
kid.
Whedon anymore. And
Yeah, Weinstein, all those pricks. Even
Definitely
people
Weinstein.
who are known for just being unpleasant. Just like, no, everyone's like, okay, fuck off. You're done.
But thankfully, Joss did give us this beautiful show.
Correct.
True.
Kudos to all the careers who came from this. Even the
Yeah.
stunt performers. There's like 3 different
Yep.
Buffy doubles, and they doubled Sarah Michelle in like a bunch of other movies and shows. Sophia Crawford was really big in the Hong Kong movie scene, and I know she doubled her, I think, for Michelle Gellar's final scene in Scream 2. So there's a lot very physical.
That's there's not a lot said about the choreography in this show. You know, they
Very
did
good
really good
fights.
with the fighting scenes. Yes.
After that
Yeah.
first season, the choreography was amazing.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Well, they had a bigger budget.
yeah.
It's very noticeable how slow the fighting is and how far off from it looking like they're hitting to the second season starting, and it's just badass.
It's badass, but don't make sure you don't have a sharp eye when you're watching the final season.
Yeah.
because you will see some stunt doubles
Yeah.
put their faces
I,
out at the last minute.
That's one of the things I look for the most. Is like, just the other day I was watching near the end of season 3. I don't remember what episode, but she kicks somebody in the face and the foot wasn't even close to the fucking face. And I was like, okay, they should have reshot that one.
Well, and that's
Well-
just it. This was before digital. This is before you can look
Yes.
through the viewfinder and say, And it's
Yeah,
like,
I guess that's true.
I think, fortunately for
Yeah.
you, Corey, I think Hulu took the remastered edition or versions off and put the old ones back on, because the remastered they switched to widescreen, and
I believe
you could
it.
see camera, like you could literally see cameras on the side, and other and people like the crew on the side that were filming. You
Yeah.
could see them on like the sides in certain aspects.
I've
Yeah.
there's quite a few shows now
Yeah.
that are that's happened to. Like I like King of Queens. I like to
Oh,
every
yeah.
once in a while just watch some dumb comedy. And King of Queens, man, when they remastered it, you can see boom mics everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Because they filmed it knowing that it was full screen, not
Yeah,
widescreen,
yeah.
so they knew that would be cut off when it was
Which-
airing.
I'm gonna give Bill Lawrence, the director and creator of Scrubs, a lot of credit here. He refused to ever film with a camera that wasn't full screen. There is no widescreen Scrubs. You can't even get it. You
Oh.
can't remaster it. It's
He
impossible.
was thinking ahead.
He was thinking ahead.
That was a good idea.
Because no, that's true. I get tired of people making memes saying, from anything from there being an air jet and Gladiator to
Yeah.
an unoccupied cafe on the sitcom Friends, and I'm just like, you didn't see that the first 300 times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now you're making it like these people were idiots, and then they weren't idiots. They just different timeline. But yeah, I have been disappointed by some of the shows on Hulu, to where it's like it even did get to where it's like I will only watch this show on Prime or Peacock where it's in widescreen, because otherwise I'm gonna, again, like you say, see more bloopers, or I'm just gonna see just a very what looks like a VHS to YouTube rip,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just not a good version of the show. I get that they're using whatever's in the vault that's been aired, but then there's other times where they've even done with the British shows where it's like, oh,
Listen,
you're clearly using a different copy.
we gotta learn from Barney Stinson. New is always better. Move on.
Barney Stinson.
Oh my god!
I guess
I'm surprised no Patrick wasn't on this.
Before I talk a little bit about season 2, I know we already kind of touched a little bit on season 2, which was nice. There is one thing I wanted to bring up. One of the casting choices, Nicholas Brennan wasn't who they originally wanted to play Xander Harris.
Yeah. I can't see anyone else playing that role though.
Well, it was originally offered to Ryan Reynolds. And
he's not enough of a losery looking character.
Well, and actor. That's what he said is when he was offered the role, in the interview, he came out, he's like, I love the show, it's a good show. He's like, but at the time when they offered me the role, I had just graduated high school and that was fucking awful. He's like, I didn't want to portray a high school kid.
Well, not only that, but Nicholas Brennan has a very good sad sack look to him.
Yeah,
he's a very attractive man. He's very, he gets better with age. But to be honest with you, his face is very sad sack high school student. He was perfect for it.
Well, it's funny that you say that he gets better with age and whatnot, because he was working out and everything throughout the show. And eventually, the producers told him, you need to stop working out because we don't want Xander looking too buff.
What?
And he stopped working out. And then obviously in later seasons, he kind of chunks out a little bit. So
yeah, he's very chunky now. Sorry.
He looks sickly now, but that's because he was into a lot of drugs and stuff there for a little bit.
That happens, man.
Not so fun fact. Him and David Boreanaz were best friends for a long time. And then
that's ironic.
Unfortunately, Nicholas Brennan was really drunk or something. He was either really drunk or he was really high off of some type of drug, but he ended up, beating his girlfriend at the time. And immediately David Boreanaz is like, he was mother effing him this, mother effing that. Like, he can't stand Nicholas Brennan now, even though after he's gotten the help he needed and he's no longer into all that stuff. I just find it ironic since, David Boreanaz is this person trying to defend women, and yet he goes and cheats on his wife a million times.
I mean, trying to get some extra pussy is different from.
There's a difference. But
I don't view them as people. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah, there is some imperfections.
I'm not saying anything bad. I love David Boreanaz, so I'm not going to say.
I think he's fessed up to it enough.
Yeah, he came out and apologized
anymore. I think it was just one of those. Just got a slightly bigger head midway through Bones, and then he's like, okay, no, now I need to stop fucking doing this. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
Got to tell you, I looked him up now, and he kind of has a Jeffrey Dean Morgan look about him.
Who's that?
Supernatural, Walking Dead.
Nicholas Brennan.
Nicholas Brennan has a Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
He thinned out a little bit with stuff, and
there's a couple pictures of him with a beard, dude, and I almost thought it was him.
Oh man,
he's also a twin. That's weird.
Yes,
he has a twin.
Yeah.
Yes, his twin, Donovan, I believe is his name. I might be wrong about that.
I don't know. I just saw a picture.
Nice.
His twin actually has played in a couple episodes of Buffy.
They didn't have him play both parts. They actually brought his twin in to play, Mirror Xander in 2 episodes.
Because there was an episode where Xander gets split into his best qualities and his worst qualities.
Nice.
So they brought his twin in to play that.
They pulled a Linda Hamilton in T2.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, he does have a twin who has also come in to do some scenes. I don't know which ones, but he's come in to do some scenes when Nicholas Brennan wasn't feeling well or whatever not. So it's just weird to have a brother out there oh yeah, hey, come fill in for me while I do this.
However you can get that damn SAG card, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dave, while we're on season 2, you know, we talked about the brilliance that was David Boreanaz with his villain role.
The show does kind of all gel to me. Is season 2? So what season is it? I won't say which character where there's a personal tragedy for Buffy.
Season 2 is pretty much all Spike and Angelus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Season 2 is when
characters.
that's when Buffy loses her virginity to Angel, and then he becomes bad
Okay, well,
because
now
they
I
had
have
sex.
definitely seen that. And when I saw that, I thought that was edgy, but I was like, seriously, that upset the Parents Television Council at the time.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, it's a
he had a
little
moment.
fucked up.
He had a moment of pure happiness.
I'm becoming a vamp, and
I do.
I mean, if you think about it, it's even in like today's terms. I mean, she was 16 and
Yes.
he was
270.
200. Yeah.
But even
but
like
no,
when he was
that
turned,
wasn't the reason they brought it up, though. That's the even creepier part.
I know. When he was turned into a vampire, I'm pretty sure he was in his 20s. So like he would still have been too old.
That's true. I mean,
I'm gonna
even
just pretend they
by,
were both
by most
very
state laws.
old-looking teens. I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
I'm just not
Um,
going there.
I do love that they address later on in like Angel, like what are the odds that you're gonna have another moment of pure happiness like that? Like they made it clear that the sex itself wasn't the pure happiness. It was the sex with Buffy that was pure happiness for him.
I mean, it's a little, it's debatable, but I know what you mean. I think altogether, though, it's pretty tame compared to
Oh yeah,
most of these other movies and
it
shows
had-
that
it had
upset
probably-
everybody.
It had probably been about 100 years, so I think it might have just been the sex.
It's just- well, yeah.
I think it was a typical politician move. Oh, I'm aroused by this, but I can't allow anyone else to feel what I feel. Gotta boycott it.
But due to his acting in season 2, especially in the episode "I Only Have Eyes for You," which is the episode where they both get taken over by the ghost of like a teacher lover and her student. His acting in that particular is what made Joss say, "Okay, I need to get you your own show."
Okay.
So that's why Angel came to be.
Is it season 3 where they fight at Buffy's school against a bunch of vamps in the parking lot? It's like a giant all-star battle.
Yeah, season 3 is
That's
Faith.
funny.
Faith
and
and the
that was an
mayor.
interesting progression because it's almost is kind of Lord of the Rings where they're like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
we got any reinforcements.
Well, and I do love that because a lot of your shows like this, like Smallville, for example, and everything like that, like the main character never shows off their secret. Not everybody is in on this secret that, oh, this person is this. But in Buffy, they're like, fuck it. These people aren't stupid. They're not blind. They see this girl running around constantly doing weird shit, but for some reason there's less deaths here than there have been for years.
It's the lowest mortality rate.
Everybody
Somehow, somewhere.
knows she's a vampire slayer. Like she does it in front of everybody.
It is
I
kind
went
of
to I went to high school. You can't slay a vampire without everybody knowing about it the next goddamn day.
It
That's
is
not
almost
how it
kind of
works.
a Twin Peaks where somehow this town in LA is just isolated from the rest of.
And they're so blind to the like. It takes until those kids are dead, and they're like invading Joyce's mind to make her start
Yeah.
new. Like it
Yeah.
takes till then for the town to realize there's something wrong. There's people dying every episode.
Yeah.
Kids, students. How many students do they have? The principal got eaten by students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the love of God, why is that school still active?
And then the second principal got eaten by a giant snake. So
Well, what about the one in the final season? DB Woodside, he was really good. He was fighting those vamps, and I can't remember if he dies in the final confrontation or if he's
good old Amenadiel.
Yeah.
Good
Good actor.
Lucifer.
Oh yeah, but well, you know what his main big claim to fame was, right? Besides this,
I
Okay,
don't.
so Buffy writers David Fury and Howard Gordon and company, they went on to the TV show 24, and they brought him on as the president's brother turned president. It is interesting though too, like how all these writers are like all interversed with all these different kinds of shows, and they all kind of got the same kind of template. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Howard and his partner Alex Gonza, they started on Beauty and the Beast and X-Files, and then they came over to here to Buffy, and that's where they pretty much started writing all these dramatic arcs with these, fantasy horror elements. But now they've won Emmys for Homeland, and they now have a new hit show on Fox. But I do find it interesting how then they got to Angel, and the main showrunner on that was Sean Ryan of the Shield and Nash Bridges fame. And it's just funny. When I watch Angel, it is interesting me deciphering, okay, that's a Josh Whedon line. Oh, that's such a Sean line. Sean is more dry, being a smart ass, having characters say an asshole moment and then redeem themselves in a random, just lampoonish fight scene. And Josh likes to go for more of the same kind of pop culture references. And
I belong to a lot of different like groups on Facebook and stuff, like for Buffy. And there's a lot of argument. A lot of people who love Buffy couldn't stand Angel. They're like, well, I just couldn't get into it. And it's like, well, it's, Angel's a lot darker than Buffy. It's not as campy. It definitely still has campy moments.
Yeah, there's been an increase in gatekeepers who don't even realize that they're gatekeepers. Is like, if you do or don't like it, don't ruin it for everybody. Just say, hey, I'm glad you like this or that. I don't like that spinoff. Okay, cool. Move on.
I wish that would just happen with every fandom.
Every fandom.
Yeah.
It's just toxic everywhere.
There's so many movies and shows I don't even want to note that I'm a fan of just because I hate the toxicity associated with it.
Yeah.
I think it's also that Buffy is really like a coming of age story throughout the entire season.
Yes.
Series. And Angel is more of a paranormal procedural, and they're really kind of two different types of shows.
Yeah, they're really not the same show. No,
they're not. Someone on Reddit said here on a recent post, 11 years, but that's as recent as it gets. And he says
more recent than this show.
More recent than the show. Yeah, and he notes how
11 years ago, that was the 90s, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
It might as well be. Anyway, so is this he notes that Angel is more Batman in tone and Buffy is Spider-Man with its humor.
They even make, I agree, because they even make the jokes in Angel, like calling him the Dark Avenger and like always saying he's brooding. Like
he literally have some fun.
He really is Batman. He has like gadgets.
Batman.
Yeah. I just rewatched the pilot episode, and the end of the pilot episode literally has him on the top of a roof looking out over the city of Los Angeles.
Well, if you didn't know already, what about that damn violin thing that gets stuck in your head?
I love that. You know what? I'm probably not in a popular camp here, but I actually love the Angel theme more than the Buffy theme.
Yeah, see,
I love both of them, but I love violin so much.
I can't choose.
You can't choose. Don't kill your darlings.
If I had to pick one to listen to, I'd go with Angel. But
in that very first episode, Willow gets in her locker and there's a Nerf herder sticker on her locker.
Yeah.
And I was just like all excited that there was a Star Wars reference in there. It took me a few episodes to realize they do the theme.
Yeah,
that band does the theme. I didn't even.
Fun fact about the theme: the theme was never picked until Allison Hannigan asked Joss Whedon to listen to it.
Did she really?
Yep. She told him, "Hey, listen to this song from Nerf Herder," and he listened to it. He's like, "That's the theme."
So then it makes sense why that sticker would be in her locker.
Yep. I actually didn't catch that it was in her locker, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That connects.
I just assumed it was a Star Wars reference, and I was all excited that she was a nerd, which she is. I guess that's one of her whole things.
Yeah, she's on a game show now, and she's asking all kinds of geeky trivia. So
Allison Hannigan, 100% also is a nerd.
Oh my god! So, do you think this is in the same universe as Alien? I'll give it a reason, because one of that crooked legal firm in Angel, they say in one episode that one of their clients is the Wayun Yutani Corporation.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
it could be just that they were being funny with it, but I'll allow it. Yeah, it's the same universe.
They've never proven that it's not.
Congratulations. You are in the same universe as Blade Runner, Alien, and Predator.
Nobody said that it wasn't, so.
But not Alien versus Predator Requiem. Fuck.
Oh.
No.
Oh, boy. Anyway.
The season finale of we're not going through this as quick as I thought we would.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
We don't have to hit every season like you're doing it.
Tap it like it's hot.
I'm just trying to hit the key points, like the season finale too. Like when Buffy has to ram him with that fucking sword right as his soul returns. Like that's so heart wrenching.
Yeah, it's very brutal. And at first you think it's going to be an over the top kind of episode, and then you're just like, oh. Yeah,
I can see if you were a fan of the show when it was on, that being a really huge moment.
Yeah,
But knowing everything I know now, and this being my first watch through, it didn't really affect me.
Yeah, now
I was like, wow.
looking back at now, it's like, Joss Whedon has a running gag almost of as soon as his characters become happy,
Yeah.
he takes
Yeah.
takes something away from them in the worst way possible. I mean, this happens here with Buffy and Angel, happens with Willow and Tara, happens with Wesley and Fred.
Oh, that's the worst one, I think, honestly. I don't know why that one really gets
I
me.
agree.
You don't even know.
No idea.
But no, they make the tragedies count, and they don't feel like last minute, which says a
No.
lot, because I don't know how much of it was, wait, no, we got to kill this character off, versus Josh saying, I'm tired of your shit. I'm killing you.
I think one of my favorite Spike moments is from that episode when he helps Buffy a little bit, and he knocks Drusilla out, which somehow he chokes her and makes her pass out by choking
Yeah,
her.
it's crazy.
I'm like, I don't understand. Vampires don't breathe, but okay.
They also don't sleep.
Yeah.
They can't be knocked out.
But he knocks her out, and then he picks her up, and then he's looking over and he's watching Angel like pretty much have the upper hand with the sword fighting. Like he's about to kill her. He's like, oh my god, he's gonna kill her.
It does,
And then he just fucking shrugs and he walks away.
He goes, and
Yeah.
he whistles and walks away. That's great.
The bloopers
Yeah.
on those discs were always good, because there would always be extension of the comedic moments. But
Yeah.
I do like how, much like the Lost Boys and even Blade, they would joke around about what kind of shotguns they're using, what kind of knives. And so it's like, that's cool. This is reminding the viewer to laugh in between all the carnage. And I will say the vampire makeup was always very well done. I forget who did it.
I think it's actually really
I've always loved
impressive.
that.
Who did the
Joss
vamp-
actually, one of the things, I didn't write this one down, but Joss decided that instead in the movie how they always looked kind of obviously vampirish, he wanted there to be like a mystery to it where you didn't know if somebody was a vampire right away. So that's why he did the transition.
Mhm.
Which the prosthetics alone for that, like, they look phenomenal.
Yeah.
David
really cool.
Boreanaz was quoted saying, he's like, it wasn't terrible to put on, but it was a pain in the ass to take off.
I bet, because you got to peel it off your damn
Yeah,
skin.
and they didn't want you to ruin it because they wanted to use it again.
Mhm.
So
'Cause it already took 5 hours just to create most makeup.
yeah, and it took an hour and 20 minutes to put on, I guess. All of that for like a quick 2-second transition.
Nothing compared to what Rebecca Romaine Stamos went through every X-Men.
Well, yeah, no shit. Jesus.
Oh,
Like 6.5 hours of makeup.
So
Yeah.
I guess instead of doing all of the seasons, I'll just start touching on, like, I'm gonna still kind
Yeah,
of go.
sorry, we're not being.
No, you guys are good. I'm gonna go still chronologically, but I'm gonna just kind of speed it up a little bit. We get to see, like, in season 3, that one of the best episodes. There's 2 of them that I really want to talk. 2 or 3 of them I really want to talk about. Band Candy, for one, is a hilarious episode. Corey brought it up earlier when he was talking about Giles sleeping with Joyce.
Dude, Giles with the cigarette rolled up in his sleeve, being a badass.
You had sex on the police car twice.
What's a stevedore? Unfortunately, yeah, Corey knows he's going to get spoiled with this. So what a lot of people don't notice, and I'm sure at least one of you picked this up.
We noticed
In the episode "The Body," when Giles is listening to his records on the floor, like he's obviously grieving. He's listening to the same song that him and Joyce were listening to in Band Candy.
Okay. So callbacks to earlier episodes.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. That whole episode, when we'll get there here soon enough, is phenomenally done. The other episode, which we also touched on a little bit, is The Wish.
That was a really good
So
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first episode with Anya in it.
Yes,
Okay.
the Vengeance Demon.
Yeah.
Is
she always the Vengeance Demon? Like, that's still her thing when she's a regular?
No, because what happens in that episode, The Wish, is when Giles destroys that that talisman, or whatever you want to call it. She's no longer a Vengeance Demon.
Okay, so she's just a human again.
She's just a human again. So now she has to figure out, after being alive for 1,000 years or more,
how to be a human.
How to be a human in this new world.
Right.
And pretty much, because if you haven't picked up on it, her and Xander get together.
I kind of like that idea better, that she's just now a human and doesn't know what to do.
There is something that happens in season 6 that does make her turn back to vengeance and becoming a vengeance demon again. Basically, Xander's an asshole and leaves her at the altar.
Once a demon, always a demon.
Yeah.
So many people die, and of course, some of them come back to life, like Buffy.
That is actually like Bubbawheat was talking about. That's another moment where, you know, you got these characters that are actually about to have like this ultimate happiness, and then then Joss rips it away. You know, just they're about to get married.
He even does it in his other shows and movies too.
Oh yeah, he does it all the time. He does it a lot. He loves torturing his fans. Like it's his thing.
And his employees.
Yeah, he's kind of almost a sociopath if you think about it.
The episode, or obviously, season 3 introduces Faith, which is the third Slayer we actually see. Because in season 2 we get Kendra
for 3 episodes.
She dies. But Faith is, you know, the new Slayer, the one actually holding the mantle, because, you know, Buffy died and she doesn't really hold the Slayer mantle anymore, but she still has the power. There's a lot of people that get confused with that, actually. Which I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
It's easy to get lost
because
in that.
And again, sorry, Corey, but when Buffy sacrifices herself in the episode The Gift in season 5, when she sacrifices herself, a lot of people are like, well, how comes another Slayer didn't show up? It's like, because she's not the Slayer in line anymore. She's not, she doesn't hold the lineage of it anymore. Faith does. But so Faith is, I thought Eliza Dushku was an amazing actress in this show. She definitely played a
here's the problem.
You don't like her?
I hated that she was just the same character Eliza Dushku always is. The flirty, annoying, sex crazed. She's that in everything. They didn't let her be anything different.
I understand that she gets a lot of fan mail from True Lies and Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. I've never been crazy about her. It's just the generic tone of voice.
Well,
and that in Dollhouse, I just felt like she was just kind of bland. But I understand. Again, she's a fan favorite, so I understand the appeal of the character, and I think she does all right here. But at the same time, I do apologize for her real life problems and having to deal with some sexism behind the scenes. That's uncool.
Well, that's just unavoidable in Hollywood, I think.
Which is probably why she got stuck playing a lot of those roles, honestly.
She got fan cast as the flirty, sexy girl.
I didn't think she was she really that in Bring It On, though? I mean, I'm sure we have all seen that movie.
I think that might have opened the gate, but it went a different way.
She was like a popular cheerleader. I mean, so that's part of that character.
She wasn't the popular cheerleader, though. She was the one that everybody hated.
She became the popular cheerleader
issue, because I mean, you see it even with like even the posters for this damn show. So many of them are kind of like La Femme Nikita, or just showing Buffy wearing anything, and you're just like, that's not the show, though.
welcome to the WB/CW, where
advertising, baby.
They always try to sell sex.
It's just like, just be you.
Now, outside her being the normal typecast that she usually is, she did a good job in the show. I just didn't like when she was that weird, flirty, sexy girl.
Yeah. So you didn't like the episode, or you didn't like her in the episode of the Zeppo when she
I love when she fucked Xander. but it isn't because of her character, it's because that happened. I love that idea.
Yeah. Speaking of, I really
just kicked him out right at all right, I gotta get a shower.
I want to talk about this Zeppo just because a lot of people hate on Xander for some reason. And I do know why. He's your typical teenage boy. He says a lot of problematic things, but he was a teenage boy. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've been listening to a couple different Buffy podcasts that are
nice.
in the process of going through the show again. And one of them is like very pro Xander. Like they're up to season 4 right now, and they do touch on his problematic elements, but they also focus on the many times where he was like a really good guy, like the times whenever he had whenever he cast the love spell, which yes, that was problematic, but then how he treated everyone, and especially Buffy, whenever she was under the love spell and throwing herself at him, he was like a legit good guy in that scene. And there's just as many of scenes of him being a legitimate good guy as there are being problematic. And most of the problematic episodes is whenever he's under the influence of something mystical.
But not only that, but like I've actually found myself quite a few times when Xander's trying to talk sense into everybody else in the group, he's kind of right most of the time. Like when he like wants to, like, we got to look at this person. We can't keep thinking of them as a friend. Look what they did. Most of the time they're all like, I don't know. He's kind of right some of the time. Like,
I mean, that's the whole point of
everybody
any
to be
show
safe.
with an anti-hero or flawed character. You want them to have their moments of where they're at their worst, where they're at their best, or where they say something. I mean, that's just good writing in general. But it is interesting how, yes, some people just feel like if the character is problematic, I can't like them. I'm like, well, maybe you're just not supposed to.
To be completely honest with you, when they're all just gonna decide to forgive Angel, he's the only one that's like, are you fucking kidding me? He killed everybody you love. He tried to kill us.
Especially Giles's, lover. Like, he killed Jenny.
Which Giles holds off on that a lot longer than anybody else. He didn't.
Yeah.
He hated Angel. The first time he saw him, Angel's like, I can't come in if you don't invite me in. He goes, I'm aware. I like the way he goes, yeah, no shit. And he gets the crossbow and goes, okay, you can come in now.
Yeah, they play into a lot of those dry moments. It kind of becomes a buddy show.
Yeah.
I do like, I think the reason Giles does forgive so much easier than Xander is, one, Giles is obsessed with Buffy.
Plus, he's a watcher. He knows the job.
Yeah.
He knows that.
Yep.
He knows a lot more than most of them do about what the influence was for Angel at the time, and that he clearly didn't know he was doing it.
I think he also realizes that it was Jenny that was trying to get him to be re-ensouled. So I think he kind of sees it as like, this is what she wanted.
Exactly.
I need to forgive him.
He'd do her a disservice by wanting to kill him.
Yeah, they needed an internal struggle. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which any human would do. So,
but it was nice. There's really only two moments in this entire show that Xander gets like a great moment. Like in the Zeppo, he has like, it's all focused around Xander. Meanwhile, you got them all in the background fighting the apocalypse again. They're not even focusing on that.
I love that you never really find out what's going on there. They're just focusing on Xander and the zombie guys.
It's a brilliant episode.
And then Oz eats what's his name at the end, and then the next day he's like, "You want something, Oz?" He's like, "No, I'm weirdly full today."
Yeah,
which is another actor, young at the time, was in the Zeppo. I can't think of his name right now, but he's in The Walking Dead.
He plays Abraham.
Yeah, the guy who plays Abraham in The Walking Dead was in the episode The Zeppo. I can't think of his name.
You're killing me.
Corey's our resident Walking Dead huge fan.
I am,
so
and
I thought he would know.
Oh, Michael Cudlitz.
Michael Cudlitz.
Yeah, that's it.
Been a lot of things. Yeah, he's good.
But this is one of his early, really early.
Oh yeah,
he's in 2 episodes
roles
of Lost
before he was playing dads and cops. Yeah, he's been in everything.
We already kind of talked about the prom, where they give her that umbrella with like class protector award, which was really cool. And we talked about the season finale, how there's that Lord of the Rings battle of the vampires.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is where I jump off.
Well, I thought it was funny when they I guess the whole cast cheered when they blew up the library.
Oh, they had to.
Because all of the dialogue, like they dreaded working when they had scenes in the library because the dialogue was really long in those scenes.
Yeah.
So they were like, we got to record in the library today. Like, this sucks. Like,
because they were all exposition scenes where you had to give information.
Yeah. So they were really excited when they blew that up.
Yeah.
And of course, I love that the fucking big ass snake goes in there. He sees all the dynamite. He's like, oh gosh. Like, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about the mayor or Oz, which are two of the best characters. Like the mayor is just such a fantastic villain.
I can't remember his name right now.
But just the fact that they have this character and he is the exact opposite of what you think a villain would be. Like,
yes,
to everybody else, he is like so nice, and he is just like he's like Giles to Faith. He is this father figure to Faith, and he's a good father figure to Faith. Like, honestly, he really does
And he's got this very Jack McBrayer energy about him, where he's very happy and
my
fantastic
God.
all the time.
He's like,
Very
yeah. So like
confident.
when he gets mad, it's like it throws you off. Like, whoa, the fuck just happened?
Mhm.
Harry Groening or Groner.
I think
can't
so.
say. That's his name. I love him. I love that. In How I Met Your Mother, they kind of brought on a couple people from Buffy.
Quite a
As an
few.
inside joke, yeah.
Yeah, like Harry Groner is Ted's stepdad.
Yeah.
um,
And the dragon.
Yep. And the guy that plays Andrew in the later seasons, he's the guy in the coffee shop that the whole swirly thing starts.
That and then there's in season 4 there I didn't keep as much up with the government guys who were demon hunters, right?
I think season 4 is typically the lowest season for most
That's
people,
where
because
I never really tuned into many of those episodes because I was just like couldn't get into those.
The only benefit about season 4 is that we get Spike back for full time.
All right. Again, I saw it all over the place because again, it was on FX every year.
Yeah, I over the years I just saw random episodes. Don't even know what season they were in.
We get the character Riley, which weirdly enough, there are very, very few people that prefer Buffy to be with him.
Really?
There is a very, very small. There's a very small Riley Buffy camp.
Did a bad job, but it was just
no. Mark Lucas is a good actor, but his character was like, I mean, he was from Iowa. He was potatoes.
Very bland.
That's Idaho, first of all.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm about to say, as an Irishman, I am offended by that. No,
I
seriously,
apologize.
go ahead.
He's very bland. Like, and the only thing that made him even remotely special is he had all that, like, he kind of had like a super soldier serum injected into him.
Yeah, he does go all Captain America randomly. It was like, what the hell, dude?
But when that all starts to go away, he's just Riley, and like he's boring and not
Riley.
Anything that Buffy should be with. When he gives her these ultimatums and shit, I'm like, you gonna give Buffy an ultimatum? Are you fucking dumb?
Yeah, that just doesn't happen. Just saying.
Like, and the fact that she, I mean, this part I hate Xander for, because he kind of talked her into trying to chase after him. The fact that she tried to get him and stop him from, taking off in that helicopter, I was like, no, just let him go, please. We don't need him anymore. He was good for season 4. It was like a nice little buffer between Angel and Spike, I guess.
I mean, just like any show, when you had to write 20 episodes, if you just don't like a certain 5-episode arc, just skip Rome and get to the next ones that you do love. It is what it is.
I will watch.
It's decent for a college fling.
Yeah, and he wasn't a bad guy. He,
even though he did have that, towards the ends, like after he, lost the thing, he was, going to vampire houses and
getting sucked off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
I said it that way on purpose.
I couldn't tell.
It was. I mean, that's kind of what he was going for there. He was trying to draw parallels between him basically going to this like it was like parallels between him going through prostitution and being addicted to a drug. Like it was kind of meant to be seen that way. So, I guess even though I joked, it was kind of fitting.
I miss the 2000s.
Right before we all got angry on the internet and started trolling people on the gaming rooms.
Right. and of course, at that moment, Spike is obsessed with Buffy and realizes he has feelings for her. So he's going out of his way to be like, "Hey, guess what? Your boyfriend here is going to these vamp houses and getting sucked off. You should probably check into that."
I'm sorry. That's great.
I just want to know where these vamp houses are. Because I have a car and I'm ready to go.
Apparently, so Seth Green, you wanted to talk about Seth Green, so we'll talk about Oz here. We'll
Same
do it
year
now.
as freaking Austin Powers, and you're doing that trilogy back to back with this.
That's actually
stuff on.
I think he left in season 4 due to Austin Powers.
Okay, and then back and
It was
forth,
e-
back and forth. Doing
It was
MTV.
either he left for Austin Powers or it was Without a Paddle. I can't remember. He left for a movie.
Oh my god,
I
was
think
it?
it was Austin Powers.
Okay,
Yeah, he
'cause,
requested to leave the show.
Without a paddle, Buffy would have already
That was
been
2004.
leaving the.
Yeah, I think Without a Paddle is 2003 or 4, right?
And don't get me wrong.
2004.
But Seth Green, I guess Seth Green was a little upset with the underutilization of his character in season 3. So I think he was just more open to leaving the show by season 4.
Yeah, because
it's disappointing because I think he would have been a good long-term relationship with Willow, and that's where they would have gone. Tara, as good as the relationship between Willow and Tara is, I would have loved to have seen her stay with Oz.
Oh, Oz was very good for her. I think as much as Tara and her was a great relationship, I think Tara opened her up to what she eventually became evil for a little bit.
I think if she had stayed with Oz, they could have gone to Wesleyan together and opened up a hacky sack shop.
I mean, if you want to, I do. It definitely wouldn't progress the story.
That was another.
That's a How I Met Your Mother reference because Seth Green's in How I Met Your Mother. So
I slip him in a lot.
The whole Veruca storyline that a lot of people hate was meant to last the whole season. It was supposed to end up being like this love triangle between her, Oz, and Willow. So the reason that episode where she, eventually gets killed or whatever, the reason
that was one of the first episodes I saw.
The reason that episode kind of feels rushed is because
actress and
Joss had to change season 4, and that's why season 4 doesn't hold up as well as the rest.
Like mid-season, he had to change stuff.
Yeah, the initiative was never meant to be the main focus of season 4. I think it was supposed to revolve a lot more around the relationships, like with Willow and Oz and Buffy and Riley. Like we weren't really supposed to know a lot about the initiative until season 5. So I think he got pushed into doing that, which is whatever, because Oz, Seth Green left the show, so he kind of had to make the initiative more of a focus, which is fine. Season 4 is not awful. It's definitely the worst, I think, of this series.
Just weaker, but not.
There is always a weak season of a show in the middle, except Breaking Bad.
Except Breaking Bad, that's true. But yes, Seth Green killed it as Oz. Not a typical Seth Green role, but
no, and I didn't even know he was in the show. Honestly,
it's one of his first roles as an actor.
Kind of tragic, though, too. The way he goes away is like, "Hey, I got to stake you now," and just like, "Oh."
I kind of love that. Like, I didn't know Seth Green was ever in the show. Like, and I'm a huge Seth Green fan. And I was watching the show, and he showed up with the Dingoes Ate My Baby band, and I was like, "Oh, cool! He's going to be in an episode." I didn't realize he was actually going to be like in the credits in the next season.
Yeah, he's the main character for a little bit.
It really made me happy because I love Seth Green.
They were planning on bringing him back in Angel for season 5, but they never did end up getting to. It was either season 5 or season 6 because Joss had more seasons for Angel planned.
How many did that go?
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
The story behind that kind of, and this I'll give Joss Whedon props for. Season 4 was kind of a mess in Angel. It was a big mess.
Ironic.
And a lot of that
4 being the mess in Buffy.
A lot of that's to do with the whole Charisma Carpenter stuff and whatnot, which we won't get into. But the show didn't do so well ratings wise for season 4. So
no, I think it was part of the WB switch and people not realizing, it's related.
Yeah. The studio, they were kind of iffy about renewing Angel for season 4, and then they were really iffy about renewing it for season 5, which I think season 5 was like their one of their best. And Joss at the beginning of season 5, before they really got like into it, he went to them and said, "Hey, look, I know you guys wait till the last minute to say whether or not you're going to renew a show or not, but these people, they got jobs, and I want them to know whether or not they need to look for another job after this year. So I need to." He's like, "I need to know now. Are you guys going to renew it, or are you going to cancel it?" So they were like, "Well, if you're going to be that way, we're going to cancel it after this season." So he's like, "Okay." So he was kind of trying to look out for his his staff and whatnot. So I mean, I do give him props for that, but So Angel got canceled after the 5th season due to him kind of being more
Ends with
pushy.
once again, final battle.
Yeah, which you don't ever, unless you read the comics, which I don't know if any of you ever have.
I was going to
haven't.
ask you if you've read any of the
no,
Boom or Dark Horse comics.
Yeah, I've got
yeah.
about the first 10 of After the Fall, the Angel season 6, and I have the entire run of Buffy season 8.
Okay, nice.
So they continued these storylines through comics.
Yeah, Buffy got to 10
It's actually kind of
technically.
exciting to know because I'm looking for. I like comic books maybe more than movies or TV. So
I think they did up to season 12 in Buffy.
Damn.
Yeah, at one point Xander ends up with Dawn, and they have a kid, which is a lot of people are weirded out by that, but
that's probably because of the actors controversy.
yeah. But if you really think about that, there isn't a huge age difference between them in the show, like character wise. Like, so I don't know why people are weirded out by it.
I do like comics based on movies and TV because it does give the creators another opportunity to revisit stuff. And some of them are lame because they pretty much focus too much on just sketching in the actor's persona into the character and not really having good writing. But I think these ones were a hit because they were actually making use of their format.
One of the biggest disappointments of my TV to comic life was when Heroes got canceled after season 4. Tim Kring said that he was going to, I will continue this on through comics or some kind of media. It was even at the end of his DVD that he released, like a little short thing. This is the last episode. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and fix it. I'm going to try and do comic books. And he just never ended up doing it. And that kind of bothered me.
Yeah. Some creators don't know what to do with their damn thing.
Yeah. I know with Buffy, they're like, I didn't follow any of the earlier comics, but they had like several runs of Buffy comics that were mostly standalone stories.
Like season 8 was made into a motion comic.
Yeah, and then season 8 was whenever Joss Whedon, he actually came on as the writing staff, and he was like the show. I mean, whatever the showrunner is called for comics, and he was the showrunner for season 8, and he was like the creative force, and so season 8 was considered canon.
Yes, I did know that.
Are the comics canon all the way through 12?
Kind of.
That I don't know. I dropped off after 9.
I think
according
so.
to the Wicca, there are a few tie-ins that are questionable, but
and then I think that the recent comics, they've gone in a completely different. They like rebooted with like a what if universe.
No, okay.
So the main episode I really want to talk about from season 4 is Hush.
Yeah.
Major fucking episode. If you're a Buffy fan, you know that episode very well.
Yeah, this was like whenever, fun fact, this was like people were saying that Joss Whedon relied on his dialogue too much, and it was, the show wouldn't be good if they didn't have any dialogue. So he took that as a personal challenge, and so he wrote
that's the one where they all lose their voices.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get to see that one yet, but
it's brilliantly done. I do. There's comedic moments even without the voices. So there's a scene where Giles is trying to explain to them through a projector how to kill these things and whatnot, and like telling them the story of what's going on. And Buffy makes a motion like staking a vampire, but she's just doing this like everybody looks at her like what? And then she quickly pulls a stake out of her purse and is like, no, like this, and they're like, oh, okay, thank God. Hush, I think that was one of the few episodes that was nominated for an award. I know, unfortunately, with TV like this, it doesn't get nominated for too many things.
They're the worst with any kind of genre. It's like they feel like unless it's not on PBS or Showtime, then it can't be good.
Yeah,
it's like no, that's not it at all.
In fact, I do believe The Body was also nominated for some awards. I think The Body actually might have won some awards.
I would hope.
Which rightfully so. That episode is heart-wrenching and wonderfully acted. I think Emma Caulfield has an amazing scene where she just goes off and feels the same way like any of us. Like she just says what any of us would have been thinking in that moment. And I think it's just really beautiful, especially from a character like hers who has no understanding of like how human life really works.
Yeah.
And I believe other than the subject matter of that episode, that also was kind of a gimmick episode a little bit because that didn't have any music.
Nope, there was absolutely no music in that episode aside from the opening theme.
There's like no scores or anything in the background.
No scores or anything in the
Exception
background.
to the rule. Yeah.
So they pushed a lot of boundaries in this show in different episodes.
Yes.
Mhm.
I like that. They didn't play it too safe.
The first scene of the body was shot in one take, and it was around 5 minutes long.
Oh, jeez.
And that's when Buffy
It's a
walks
one-shot.
in. Yep, she walks in. She finds her mom dead on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
She calls 911. She pukes, and then she's trying to clean it up after she talks to Giles. Like she's like it's just the whole thing. It literally follows her around in the house, and it's all
Yeah,
one shot.
It's called a one shot. I love those. Birdman was pretty much shot all one shot. It's
Yeah.
a great movie.
It's really actually one of the most touching moments when you really kind of start feeling like Spike and Buffy could be a thing is when Spike has had enough of the bullshit of constantly getting his ass kicked by Buffy, that even though he knows it's going to hurt him, because Corey, you don't know this, but the Initiative, the military people, they put a chip in his head where he can't hurt anybody. Like he can't hurt any humans. It literally will cause him literal pain in his head.
Seems like a cop out.
But he can hurt demons, but it basically neuters him. So he can't.
I just mean that seems like a cop out. Instead of giving him his soul like Angel, they
well,
no. I know he eventually does,
yeah.
but it still seems like, well, let's figure out how to not have Spike hurt any humans, so people like him.
I will say the way that they do it in the show doesn't make you feel that way.
I hate cop outs, so I
'Cause
like
the way that the Initiative works is they're catching all of these demons and vampires and stuff to do experiments on them. So one of the things they do is they put chips in their head so they can't hurt anybody while they're there.
Okay, so making it like an experiment in the
Yeah.
show, okay, that does help a little bit.
Yeah, it makes sense, and then it also gives him, a character arc because he basically changes. It's because of the chip, but it takes like a full 2 seasons for him to really become a heroic character or an anti-hero.
Okay.
I would argue, and I do argue this with a lot of people who are primarily Angel fans over Spike. I think the beauty of Spike's character is that he was never his human side never fully got taken away from him when he became a vampire. Whereas like when Angel became a vampire,
all bets are off.
he had no humanity, and
he was an absolute beast for a long time.
Even in season 2, when the judge is like trying to fry everybody, he says there's too much humanity with Spike and Drusilla still on them. But when he goes and touches Angel, like he's like, there's no humanity here.
There's nothing there.
Well, whenever he touches Angelus.
Yeah, he can't even judge him.
Yeah, because Angel and Angelus are, night and day characters.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But Spike and Spike with a Soul are pretty much the same character.
Yeah, because I think deep down, Spike was always a romantic, even as a vampire.
When does he get his soul?
Not till the beginning of the very end of season 6.
The very end of season 6.
So he has it for a whole season at least.
And this is where the show does get pretty wacky because you basically these are vampires, but
I heard 7 was a little out there, and I'm okay with that.
I will say this. So we're jumping ahead, which is fine because we kind of got to get through this. But in season 6, Buffy and Spike have a very toxic relationship, mostly because Buffy, when she comes back from the dead, she feels Spike's the only person she can connect with because she can't talk to the others. She doesn't feel human really, and it scares her. But Spike's like the only one that understands her. So they kind of get close, and then of course, eventually they have this like angry fuck scene, and this whole house is crashing around them as they're doing it, and you're like, what the hell is going on? But somehow it works. Like somehow it doesn't.
Well, Mike, sometimes when a man loves a woman,
right,
the house will crash down around him.
But there's a moment in the season, where Buffy's like, enough's enough. I know that this relationship is awful. It's Spike, for crying out loud. I can't be doing this.
This is where it gets odd. Yeah. A vampire who's in love with a human who's in love with a vampire.
She keeps telling him no. And during an episode where the worst villains that have ever been in the Buffyverse, the 3 or the whatever the hell they were called, the trio. Yeah.
Is it Bubba
They-
knows?
Yeah, I
I
forgot.
was gonna say the three were in like 10 minutes.
No, the trio, which is made up of three nerds, which two of which you didn't meet Warren yet, but you know Jonathan because he's the one that gives Buffy the Class Protector Award. Warren makes robots. He makes a sex bot for himself, but ends up discarding it. Then later, that ends up making a sex bot for Spike. That's
the
Buffy.
Robots never made much sense to me when they started going all cyborg
and then
sci-fi.
Andrew, who is actually the brother of the guy Tucker who released all the awful whatever the fuck's on the prom.
The hellhounds on the
Yeah.
prom.
So I always that is a running joke because everybody's like, "Who are you again?" He's like, "I'm Tucker's brother." But
Partner
so
in crime.
they think that they're gonna get together and be the villains of Sunnydale and take down Buffy, which a couple times they do actually get the better of her, but for the most part, it's mostly just for comedic relief.
Yeah.
They're surprising. They're in surprisingly little of the entire season 6 because that's the season that I most recently revisited because on my podcast I have a time loop podcast and so I covered Life serial in shocking detail.
Damn.
I didn't even know there was a way to cover Life serial in shocking detail.
It's fun. I broke it down. I break time loops down loop by loop. So really Life serial was like 13 episodes.
Oh my god, that's actually impressive.
Yeah, there's no way I could do that. So good job.
So the episode I'm talking about in season 6 is called Seeing Red. The trio gets the better of her. They had these like orbs or whatever that made them like super powerful. It was mostly Warren.
They were Dragon Balls.
Yeah,
no,
they beat the shit out of Buffy to the point where like she was like bruised and like not her full strength.
Yeah, the more the seasons go on, basically Buffy now must get beat up at the start of an episode. And you're like, really? Why?
So she gets, she's in her house ready to take a bath, and Spike shows up, and he could see that he desperately just wants to feel the love that they had, but obviously it's a really touchy subject. He goes about it all the wrong way, and if she hadn't been the Slayer, she wouldn't have been able to stop him. So
yeah, that's where it gets a little.
Essentially,
that was the Mike warned me about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I mean, it can be a triggering scene for some people, but he essentially attempts to rape her, and that's the moment that makes him go, "What the fuck is wrong with me?" And that's when he goes in to seek out his soul.
That's when. Okay, that makes sense then. Even though it's a little weird that even triggered him because he still is a vampire. But I guess he does have some of his humanity. So
yeah, I think for a lot of people that are anti-Buffy Spike relationship, that is the scene that they always go to as why they're anti-Buffy and Spike. Yep. But I think for a lot of people that are pro-Buffy and Spike, which I think that they are a good couple, that I think the good explanation is whenever that happens
in this season.
Yeah, whenever that happens, it's he's still a vampire. He's still a demon.
Yeah. Like, and if that would have been Angelus, he would have taken what he wanted, then killed her. Like, he wouldn't have been like, oh, fuck, you know what? Maybe I should go get my soul.
Oh, that's what's weirder, too, is how then, by Angel, he's not only redeeming himself, but then it's just wild how he and the others, are vampires, and yet they're fighting other vampires.
Yeah.
So it always makes you wonder, how did they get any blood?
Well, that's they get pig's blood. That's when once they swear off humans, they go to the butcher and
oh, that's right.
Yeah, they have various other animal blood too.
Blood is blood, baby.
You can go to the butcher and ask for pig's blood, and they don't ask questions. So
they actually that's actually a scene in early Buffy. I think it happens in one of the first 3 seasons where Buffy is like doing research on one of the villains, and she goes to the butcher shop and she runs into Angel, and she's like, oh, I didn't expect to see you here. And it's like, oh, I never thought about how you get your blood.
Yeah. And then that's in season 7. Andrew's trying to get blood for this ritual in the basement of the new school, and Willow runs into him there, and because Andrew's too much of a
damn it, Willow.
Andrew's too much of a pansy to try to kill a pig, so they're like, well, let's just get the blood from the butcher. Because at this point, Warren's a ghost, and he's actually the first. But that's all.
That seems to be a running theme through the whole show is getting blood from the butcher.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically.
Which did you ever play the game Vampire the Masquerade?
No.
You can walk around on the streets, and to fend off your hunger, you can pick up rats like in the alleyways and suck them dry and throw them.
I would not be surprised.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I used to go to a place, it's closed down now, where people could rent or assemble their own board games and everything and party games. And I would not be surprised if there was a huge Buffy or Blade fan base that also plays Vampire the Masquerade.
It was a good game.
I need to check that out.
The beauty of it is it really is very free roaming for a board game. I haven't played it, but I know a lot lot and it is
yeah. I have a group of friends, like old friends, that did the LARPing, and then I have a different group of friends that are very familiar with the tabletop version.
Yeah.
We didn't really touch on a lot of season 5, which is fine. The only thing from season 5 I really wanted to talk about, one, we have to talk about the whole Ben is Glory. If anybody's a big Buffy fan and belongs to any Buffy groups or talks to any Buffy fan, that's a running joke that either you love or you hate. Just the reveal though, when they finally realize it at the end of season 5, Spike's the only one that still remembers after she disappears, because there's this I don't know how to. It's like a spell of some sorts.
It's like a cloaking spell.
Yeah, the moment that they switch, whoever witnesses it doesn't remember that the other person was there, or doesn't remember the switch. but that only applies to humans. Like demons and whatnot can still remember. So when they switch and Spike clearly sees it and he's there with them, they're all like, "Oh, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Well, it shouldn't be hard since Ben is Glory." And they're like, "What?" And they keep going so you're saying that Ben sublets from Florida? Like, no, what? And I just love his reaction. He's like, is everyone here terribly, I'm going to say it wrong, but he's like, is everybody here stoned?
I know this isn't what he says, but it's like, is everybody here taking crazy pills?
Yeah. And then when they're in the hospital and they're kind of getting the realization, because the spell's starting to wear off because she's getting weaker, because it's getting closer to the ritual. Xander's like, all right, go over this one more time with me. And Spike goes, oh my God, this is going to be worth it. And he smacks Xander in the back of the head, which causes him pain because he caused, physical pain to a human. And he's like, all right, one more time from the top.
Say it one more fucking time.
But I think the moment that Buffy gets any type of feelings for Spike isn't necessarily when he goes there to kill her with the shotgun. I think that's one of his most touching moments, when he decides, oh shit, she's really sad. Let's put the shotgun to the side, not kill her. Let's figure out why she's upset.
So romantic. Let's not.
Which was kind of funny, but it's weird because that's one of the first moments where you see Buffy actually confide in somebody. She tells Spike before she tells Riley that her mom has a brain tumor.
Spike's been there longer.
And then later on in the season, when they think Spike is the key and they kidnap him, and she's like, well, this is just a vampire. So she tortures him like crazy. And Buffy, of course, thinks that Spike just gave up Dawn easily, but she sees how beat up he is. She goes there pretending to be the Buffy bot, which she was completely grossed out by, of course. But she goes there pretending to be the Buffy bot, which the Buffy bot was programmed to be all like lovey-dovey to Spike. She acts like that, and she's asking questions, and he's like, no, Glory can never know. And she's like, well, why? And she's like, because it would kill her if anything happened to her sister. And I think that's the moment Buffy even gets any type of feelings for Spike, even whether she realizes it or not.
And this is where, again, it does become kind of a romantic triangle kind of deal for a while. Who does she love more?
I mean, at the very last episode, when he's sacrificing himself in that underground area in the basement of the school.
Oh God!
And she's holding his hand for a second. She's like, "I love you," and he's like, "No, you don't." But thanks for saying it. Like, I mean, it's debated. Like, does she really love him, or was she just saying that to make him, happy?
I think it was I mean, in Whedon's words, he did
Yeah.
say, "I set out to make a B movie, and that's what I did." Critics don't get it, and I think that's just kind of just it too. He was doing it just as part of the fun, just showing how Spike is kind of a one-man army.
Quick question about transition from season 3 to 4, because that's where I'm at.
Okay.
How did they handle the Giles whole thing of it? Because he's like a high school librarian. How does he go with them?
It's great. I mean, I honestly,
so maybe
I don't
want to
know.
know.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to spoil it because it's really fun.
All right, I guess I'll just find that
Yeah,
out.
I'm not gonna spoil
If
it.
it's actually funny and interesting, I'll just wait.
I mean, I will say, obviously, they blew up the library, so he's not a librarian anymore.
Well, obviously. Yeah.
he's a bit unemployed.
Kaboom, kaboom, Rico.
No, there's a lot of funny moments involving Giles and not being employed.
Okay.
So yeah, we won't ruin that. Who was all thrown off by Dawn? Like, obviously, we all had to be thrown off by Dawn just showing up. Like, who is this character? Why is she here?
That's just weird overall. A lot of shows will have a sister and then dump them without explaining it. This show literally brought a sister onto it without explaining them.
Yeah, it really felt like he was again kind of playing with TV tropes and doing things different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was, honestly.
They do eventually, explain where she came from, and Buffy does realize that she wasn't there the whole time. So, Corey, she wasn't there the whole time. She didn't exist. Well, that's the way you're supposed to think. You were part of the spell.
Good. I'll stay under the spell.
A lot of people complain about Dawn. They say she's too whiny and yada yada yada. But I'm like, okay, well, she's 14.
It's kind of what kids do. Just saying.
She's going to be a whiny teenager. I don't. Again, it's kind of my same thing with the whole Xander thing. When people have problems with the way he talks, sometimes when he's in high school, because I think Xander, as he gets older, he doesn't talk like that as much anymore. He's more mature, so it makes sense. I don't know why people have problems with annoying characters. They're supposed to be annoying.
Yeah, I mean, we all went to high school. We know that most of the people standing around us were just complete morons.
Yeah.
So, including us, a lot of the things we said probably weren't very intelligent.
Such a fucking idiot.
I would have punched myself in the face many times if I could go back. So,
I haven't really seen Michelle Trachtenberg in too much other than, Buffy. And then I saw her in Eurotrip. That was a huge change for me.
Yeah, she's not a teenager anymore.
This isn't where I park my car.
Yeah.
God.
Which, and I'm okay with it because, Michelle Trachtenberg and I are actually the same age. So,
yeah, to be fair, we grew up when we were kids. She was a kid. So it's
not creepy. It's not creepy for me. I remember the one Buffy group that I was in. Somebody posted her photo shoot from a Maxim magazine or something like that.
God.
And there were a lot of people like, oh my God, I don't understand how you guys are perving over her because she's so young and blah, blah. I'm like, okay, first of all, she's the same age as I am. So I'm allowed.
30s. I'll tell you, I'll never go back and watch Harriet the Spy now, though. That movie's just gone from my lexicon.
But I heard she was brilliant in Gossip Girl when she was in it.
Yeah, she was the best character.
I've never watched that.
I've never watched it. I probably never will. But
that's a gap in mine as well.
I never
fortunate question mark.
I didn't necessarily willingly watch it, but I was in the room when it was on, and I didn't hate it.
Well, no, I have no if that's something you like, I'm not gonna shit on you for that.
I like a lot of weird, sensitive, girly things. Trust me.
Me too. I not even shamefully, I love rom-coms. So
I'm a huge musical fan.
Me too. Which let's get to that. You perfect segue.
Perfect segue.
Of an episode I didn't get to watch.
Yeah, I wish you could have watched it. Even out of context.
There's so many musical episodes, but there's one particular one.
Even out of context, this episode would have been great for you. What's more feeling?
The musical episode of most sitcoms I've ever seen is usually my favorite episode.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna love it. We find out that James Monsters actually has a good singing voice.
Yeah.
Yep.
We already knew Anthony Stewart Head had an amazing singing voice. Anthony Stewart Head has done a lot of musicals. He
was in a band.
He was Frankenfurter in the British version of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
A Rocky Horror Show.
No, my bad. Yeah.
What did you say?
I said Rocky Horror Picture. I don't know why. I fucked it up. I do that a lot. If you ever listen to our episodes, I fuck up a lot of things.
He's not good with names and locations.
I'm bad with names.
It's all good.
But he was also in he had a small little role in the Sweeney Todd movie with Johnny Depp.
And he also did Repo the Genetic Opera.
Yeah.
Holy
So
cow.
he's a brilliant singer.
He's the best part of that one.
Yes, we get to hear him sing Behind Blue Eyes, I think,
By The
in
Who.
one of the
Nice.
episodes, but by The Who. But I think James Masters was a very pleasant surprise. I would easily say that he was the third best singer in that episode.
Yeah, and he got the best song. I was disappointed
yes.
because Tony Hood has the best voice, but he got the worst songs.
Yes. Yeah, his songs weren't, I mean, he got that fucking 80s montage song. Which was cool. I mean, typical Joss Whedon throwing in another trope.
Have you guys seen him as on Ted Lasso recently?
No,
Nah.
I haven't.
No, that's where Anthony Head is, and he's a bad apple on there.
Oh, I know I do know. I heard he was playing like a really bad character.
And yet
some
at
show.
the same time, you think I think that's where he's now comfortable being a little more trickier, because one minute you think he's going to do something nice, and then it's by the same guys who do Scrubs. Next thing you know, he goes back to his asshole routine.
I mean, he was great in Merlin too.
Yeah, we're finally getting the Ripper aspect of Anthony Stewart Head.
Yeah, he played King Arthur's father, Uther Pendragon.
Yeah, I liked Merlin a lot. That was a good show.
I thought Amber Benson had a beautiful voice. I did not expect that out of her, since her character was so reserved and like very like mousy.
She and Seth Green must have the same agent, because same kind of deal. She's on all these Nickelodeon type shows at the same time that she's doing this, and now guest starring galore on just about every other movie or show.
And she got the most sexually explicit song.
Oh yeah, I love. So Corey, when you do watch this episode, you're gonna love it. It's a very beautiful song. She sings it well. But at the end, they're in the bedroom and she gets laid back on the bed and she starts floating up or whatever. And she's singing, "You Make Me Complete." But the next time she goes to say, "You Make Me Complete," it stops at "You Make Me Come." And it fades to the next scene immediately.
And the thing that he kind of skips over is that Allison Hannigan's head goes, just off screen.
Yep.
Nice.
It was very well done.
That's some subtle play there, Joss Whedon.
I did notice Allison Hannigan doesn't have a lot of singing lines in this. I'm assuming she wasn't comfortable doing it.
Yeah, she asked her and not Allison Hannigan, Michelle Trachtenberg. They both requested not to have very many singing lines, and that's why Michelle Trachtenberg got the dance sequence instead. Like she got the ballet instead of the song. That's why Allison Hannigan only got like a little bit. Although she has later said that if she'd have known that auto-tune was a thing, she might have attempted it.
Yeah.
She gets the one line in I've got a theory, and then actually she has probably one of my favorite lines in the musical.
Yes,
when during the walk through fire line, she's like, "I think this line's mostly filler." Like it's just it's really meta and funny. It's like there's no reason for her to even sing right there.
Mark here in these types of episodes. I think these are, but back when YouTube first became a thing, these were the most looked for on YouTube by far, along with how many people has Buffy killed, how many crazy villains were there on the show, how many schools did they even go to and move to.
James Masters had some really good lines too. Like, I love that he's like contemplating how to go about it. Like, he's gonna kill her, then I'll save her. But then he's like, no, first I'll save her, then I'll kill her. And it's like, okay,
right? Just
he's even conflicted with his feelings for
a
her.
Total Tarantino moment where you're just like, whoa, it got dark fast.
Yeah, this episode, it came out of left field. I didn't see it coming when I was watching it for the very first time. I didn't notice, like I didn't expect that to come, like because the internet really wasn't like a huge deal at the time, so I didn't know. I didn't know that this was a thing. So when I first saw that opening and it was like that weird musical opening instead of like the regular theme, I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, and by this point, every other show wanted to be kind of like Twilight Zone or Buffy or X-Files, and they were giving them a giant budget for effects. And I will admit, the way it is shot is always very, very moody. Just these guys know how to gaff in the dark. I think by this point, this is where it got really convoluted for me because people were getting into Supernatural and they were also getting into Charmed around the same time. So I wasn't getting the shows mixed up. I was better than that, but I really knew that Buffy was the biggest one because there were so many giant action figures for this show at around that time in the 2000s.
Although it is surprising that Charmed came out in '98. I was curious and I looked that up, but Charmed ran for like 10 seasons.
Yeah, they rebooted it. People hate it, but everyone still tunes in. Isn't still?
See, and I watched a lot more Charmed back in the day than Buffy because I didn't realize Buffy was a comedy, or I probably would have tuned in.
Charmed was just campy.
My dad's a big fan of Charmed, so
there was just something about it. Oh, what's funny is I had some friends who were very picky about the kinds of cheesy movies they watched, and yet for whatever reason they took Charm very seriously, despite it having a lot of the same schlocky effects and writing and campiness, but lowbrow.
Yeah, my wife is a fan of Charmed, and I am not. That's one that I've seen a lot of Charmed episodes, and I did too. I would see the same one. I'm like, is this the one where they become a mermaid? This is weird. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I never understood that one. Even my dad did because he loved that show.
It's because it was Aaron Spelling.
Once More the Feeling was really the only main episode I wanted to touch base on with season 6. The rest of that is, it's crazy. Willow becoming evil. Like, it's obviously. I mean, I can't blame her. It's kind of badass to see her completely skin a dude alive.
Season 6 is better than I remembered because I went through it. I didn't hate the trio as much as a lot of people, and I thought that the Willow, like the magic drug metaphor, was okay, but the one episode where they ramped it up to 100 was where they really missed the mark.
To what you guys said earlier, it is one of those. Just like this is where. It's also fun for me. John and we tackled the Dracula 2000 saga, and it was surprisingly better than we realized. But we guffawed at how, at this point, Josh Whedon is taking all his actors, his heavyweights from his canceled show Firefly, and bringing them onto here. And one of them was Nathan Fillion as the evil priest who taunts Buffy a lot, and it was just so funny because in Dracula 2000,
and takes Xander's eye.
Yep.
And actually, Nathan Fillion originally auditioned for the role of Angel, so that was kind of interesting.
That makes sense. Okay.
Nathan Fillion's a little too comedic to be Angel, I think.
I agree with
he's
that,
fun as a villain, but man, you kind of like to. He's a fun villain because you kind of root for his comeuppance, and he's
exactly
fun. So.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was kind of cool watching Xander be the hero. Like he's the one that talks Willow down from the ledge, basically from destroying the world. All because of a broken yellow crayon.
Goddamn crayons. What a crybaby.
The big takeaway from season 7, I know a lot of people were just disappointed with season 7.
That's all you got, guys.
I guess I do love Spike's like initial acting in the first couple episodes when he's like crazy. Because he's the guy.
See, I thought that was kind of unnecessary. I mean, I think he did it well, but I finished season 6 and I started going into season 7, and I was just like, oh, I can't, I'm not in the headspace for this right now. Like these first few episodes in season 7 are rough.
Well, that and every episode, it seemed like that was the notes from even just the studios, if not the networks, is like, just have a funny musical episode that gets everyone off their feet.
Well, that's the episode, where I think he has this brilliant scene where he ends up laying his body across the cross, which obviously is not good for him, when he's like finally explaining to Buffy and she realizes that he has his soul. I think that's a very powerful scene. That scene in particular, I think, is so well done and so necessary for their relationship. But I didn't care much for the potentials. That was kind of stupid.
The potentials where they're trying to find more people to join the Scooby gang, I think.
I kind of like the idea, but I didn't like how it ended up.
They didn't execute it very well.
That's where their humor started getting too
The idea of a recruitment episode is funny. But...
Well, no, it's the whole season, pretty much.
It's
the whole season.
They're protecting these potentials because there's an evil called the First that is trying to kill off not only...
And this is where it becomes too much like Highlander for me. We are the Watchers. We are the guys.
They're trying to kill all the Watchers. They're trying to kill all the potential Slayers, so that way when they kill Buffy or Faith, there isn't anybody to become the Slayer afterwards.
There you go. Stop the circle before it becomes a circle.
Conversations with Dead People was a fucking crazy episode, though. Amber Benson was supposed to come back as Tara, but she said she would not do it because she did not want her character to be portrayed as evil. Which, you know, I don't blame her. She didn't want to taint or she didn't want to have her character tainted.
I do think that's the one great scene with the first was whenever they had the moment where they cycled through all the main big bads, and they brought all the actors back for that, and that was a great scene.
Yeah,
nice.
I did kind of like the Principal Wood, which is played by DB Woodside. I did kind of like that they tied him into the story by having his mom be a Slayer, and that's one of the ones that Spike killed.
I don't think I saw that episode, but every scene I saw him in, he just naturally felt like he was part of this, as opposed to other characters where you're like, who the hell is this guy again? Sorry, there's too many.
And, that's where Spike gets his trademark coat from. Although the studio got his trademark coat from a fashion store for $2,000, then ran it over repeatedly by a truck to give it a distressed look.
What?
Yep, that's what they did.
When I read that today, it's like, you spent $2,000 on a coat just to run it over with a truck how many times?
It's a hell of a chance too, because what if you fucked it up?
Yeah,
there is no redo.
No, not at all. So that's kind of cool.
And then fans would have been like, where the fuck is Spike's coat?
Yeah, which, at the beginning of season 7, he doesn't wear it for a little bit because he's trying to be this new person. And then when he realizes he doesn't need to be a new person, he just needs to be his self without being, giving into some of his demon side. He just is like, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to put the coat back on. I'm going to be the Spike that everybody needs.
That's a great final line. I'm the coat that everybody needs.
Yep.
So like you guys say, there's some stuff that's outdated, but there's a lot of stuff to like still. It's just, it also depends on what fan base you're with. I'm sure there will be fans like, this is literally the only show they've seen, which was kind of my case. And there were others just like they saw it, but they were just because they were into all kinds of movies and shows, and this is one of them.
Easily one of my favorite shows.
It's got some highlights. It's got some cultural relevance. I understand it. I do think Sarah Michelle is a worthwhile final girl screen queen.
I honestly, when Mike told me to watch this, because he wanted to do this episode,
you're like, it better be good.
It was actually way before you even talked to me about maybe doing it. Cam. Mike told me that I should probably start watching it, and I watched that first season. And I got to be honest with you, after that first season, I was like, I don't know.
I was like, I do want to do it, but
I don't know if I can get through 7 seasons. But after that second season, I'm in love with it.
And then that same week, I became a vampire.
Yeah.
Not literally. My sleep cycle got underwhelmed. Yep. I'm like, fuck, I'm holding up this podcast. let me get addicted to some CBD, then I'll get back to you. So long story short, it works. Anyway, this was cool going down this memory lane, and I love how we were all kind of consistent. I would have thought there'd be like a little difference here. No, I saw it when it came to DVD. No, I saw it when it was streaming. It's like, no, it wasn't that. It was like we all saw it in some capacity.
Mine's a little different.
As I say, Corey's the only one different.
On 24/7 when they would actually do that before it got the media became more corporate and decided, just be more boring.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's play something that no one wants to see repeated.
Well, I do that now.
All the time.
The fucking time. I don't want to see the Real Housewives get a new mansion. That just it does not entertain me at all. If it's a vampire mansion, maybe.
Absolutely. If you're a vampire fan, if you're a fan of badass
street comedy,
female characters, you're a fan of like even like
if you have a crazy aunts and uncles and relatives who have it, ask to borrow their set and give it back to them. Be good.
Yeah. You like campy? If you like campy comedy, you like regular comedy, whatever. Like, just check the show out. It's hilarious. If you haven't
like the
seen
soundtrack, there were so many awesome rock bands.
A lot of good soundtrack on the soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
With the scene where Buffy and Cordelia get in an argument and say we're done for quite a while. That song by Curb, I think Chinese Burn plays, and that's a pretty cool techno jam.
Last fun fact of the night, since you mentioned bands, there was a band, I don't know the band's name. The lead singer was a huge fan of the show and was super stoked, but yet also disappointed when Joss used one of their songs in an episode. And she actually wrote him and was complaining about it. So he decided he put their band into an episode in season 7 And that scene where the vampire gets killed in the bronze, they're playing live, and she's the one that says, "I hate playing Vampire Towns." So he made up for it by giving her a line and giving them a spot in the show. So
Jeez,
I thought that was really cool.
Things you got to do, man.
But I think I've said just about everything I wanted to say.
Oh,
I mean, I could go on forever.
This was a delightful chat. I'm glad we could all geek out.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Any final thoughts you guys want
watch
to
it on
say?
Hulu, guys, if you want it accessible. If you're not digging it, then get together some longtime fans and pals. It will be much like Rocky Horror, where you'll probably enjoy it more because of the increased amount of just interactive. I will admit, like many shows, there will be some times where you're just like, do I really like this? And just like, just
keep
give it some
watching,
time.
plug through.
Yeah.
Season 2 and 3 are the best.
2 and 3 are the best.
I
yeah.
agree.
Cam, plug your stuff.
Okay, as you can see, John and I run the Jacked Up Review Show, and we cover all kinds of movies and TV franchises. We like doing amusing rankings because, like you guys, it is just funny just seeing just the unusual reactions that we get. And we try to be just fair. We don't want it to ever be a rant. And at the same time, we've been mainly going into music band history. How did you first hear about this rock group, and why they dominate the airwaves for so long? And Bubbawheat, It's Time to Rewind, we've had on. And given what a Buffy guy he was on social media, I was like, okay, we got to bring him into the chat. You gave so many background notes. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. That's a good segue. Bubbawheat, go ahead and plug yourself.
Sure. I'm Bubbawheat. I'm on Twitter at Bubbawheat. I've got a couple podcasts right now. My main one is called It's Time to Rewind. Like I mentioned, I go through time loop movies and TV shows. And we do one loop per episode. I've covered Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Of course, that was the first one I did.
Time travel
I did
movies.
episodes of Twilight Zone. I did Triangle, Time Crimes. And I'm currently in the middle of Buffy and Angel, doing Life Serial, the Mummy Hand episode from Buffy, and
Nice.
the Time Bomb episode with Angel, where with Illyria, where she's kind of jumping around the episode. And then the next season that I'm starting in April is it's kind of time loop adjacent, where I'm going through Memento scene by scene.
Oh, good. That's a good one.
Oh, nice.
And then I also have a second podcast called Lyrical Innuendo, and that comes out every other Friday.
You go into song meanings.
Yeah, I each episode me and my co-host looks at a song, and we dig into the lyrics and see if there's any hidden meaning. Usually we look for, like sexual meanings that you never knew. And sometimes we'll like make up a sexual meaning. It's like, this is what I think this song means.
It's surprising how many songs we sang as 10-year-olds that we should not have been singing.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, like we did like Little Red Corvette, She Bop by Cyndi Lauper, but also I've kind of made up some ones for like Kokomo by the Beach Boys.
Don't run out of
And
material
like
too fast.
the distance by Cake. That was a really fun episode. I came up with some interesting theories behind the lyrics on that.
I love Cake, like the band. Also,
Yes.
I like cake. Don't know anything about the band, but the food is delicious.
You would love the band. They're very comedic. Thank you all for hosting us.
yeah, no problem. Thank you.
If you want to come on and talk to us about Buffy or Angel or any of that, you can come on to Facebook at Culture Shock Podcast, Instagram, it's Culture Shock 21, and on Twitter, where I do most of my work, it's CS Podcast 21. Please come talk to me and argue this. And check these guys out. They're really funny. They're really great. They're
promise you.
very informative.
I heard the takedown of Mortal Kombat. I'm telling you, I could have defended that one. How stupid it was.
What do I need to say? Oh yeah, bigger reviews. Yeah, we're not plugging it. That's all
As
you
always,
get.
thank you, Mike.
That's all you get, Adrian.
Thank you as always, Mike.
Halloween songs, bigger review.
I think that's going to do it from all of us here at Culture Shocked. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks for listening. Out for a walk, bitch.